ranks here. I like this idea. So I guess we'll start with the slash, which is the ranger squaddy ability. Oh boy, I love the ranger, but this ability kind of... it's just not great. It suffers from a few problems. Slash, first problem being that, well, by going toward an enemy to slash it, if you do it in a direction you haven't scouted, you run the risk of triggering your pod, which obviously you don't want to do. That's a problem that the Rangers share with the Templar. We'll get to it later. The other problem with slash is the damage is just not... like, to take such a risk, the damage is just not as good as like shotgun ranger. So slashing an enemy and taking a risk to slash an enemy, I'd rather just blast it in the face with a shotgun. So, although with that being said, slash early game has some merits. It does really good damage on sectoid, which can be obnoxious if they mind control someone else. Until you get stuff like run and gun, it can actually allow you to get a hit on, let's say, a trooper if your ranger is like too far away and you want the ranger to like catch up as well. That can be useful for that, but I think like early game mostly it's like a sectoid killer. But yeah, aside from that, it's not that great. And I think with that being said, you're gonna go in C tier. Not the greatest, but not the worst. There's definitely worse here. So then next would be the Grenadier launch grenade. That's a much better squaddy ability, that's for sure. Launch grenade, of the 4 starting class, definitely the best one. Early game breaking cover is simply amazing. I think it's simple. If you don't break cover, you're... oh, I should have specified, by the way. I almost forgot. I was too excited to do this, but yeah, this list is assuming you're playing on Legend, Ironman, Grim Horizon. I'll take into consideration both 6-man and 4-man. So yeah, that's the perspective I'm taking here, with the assumption that strategy that work at this level of difficulty is applicable on lower difficulty, whereas the opposite is not so true. Like, strategy that would work on Commander or Veteran won't necessarily work on Legend Ironman. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, on Legend Ironman, launch grenade, you... like, in the early game, you definitely want to be breaking cover because your dude's aim is just utter ass. So like, this is what gives you more like consistency in the early game, because if you're just taking shot through enemy cover, even if it's just half cover, it's just too unreliable. So although in the late game it kind of falls off, you don't use grenade launcher as much, so I would put in the A tier. It is a solid, good ability. Or yeah, mostly chucking grenade left and right. Next would be... what do we have? Would be squad side, actually. Where's the specialist? Oh, it's after, okay. Oh boy, squad side. The king ability of enemy within. I did a tier list, by the way, of the first game before. And that ability was actually the best in the game. I still stand by that. It is by far the best ability in enemy within. In XCOM 2, though, squad side is definitely weaker. It has definitely been dethroned, so it no longer is an S tier ability. Although for now, I'll leave it there, since it used to be there. So what is the problem with squad side? Well, I guess to compare with enemy within, it now has a penalty. So like, the further you're shooting from the enemy, the lower your hit chances compared to enemy within that had no such a penalty. Whoops. And that's really what used to... one of the things that used to make it really good back then is like, you could take like high percentage shot, because yeah, snipers were really high aim based from basically anywhere on the map, whereas like here you need to constantly be on the move to like compensate this penalty, and it really sometimes prevents the Sharpshooter to, especially in the early game, do its job, which is to do damage, because like you didn't have to catch up and like to mitigate the penalty, or sometimes, well, if you get like sewer map, for example, you getting angle with squad sight is pretty difficult. So yeah, that's mostly the problem with squad sight. Like you need to have your Sharpshooter being really high rank for it to, like, for you to just be able to take like far shot with consistency of hitting. In the late game it gets much better once your Sharpshooter have good aim. But yeah, the aim penalty is just too brutal for a big chunk of the game to really. So I would definitely say though it's better in Slash, that's for sure. But because of its only becoming good in the, like when your Sharpshooter has good aim, I would put it below the Grenade Launcher. And yeah, at least though, compared to Anuuden, if you shoot someone at squad sight range, you don't get a, you can still crit them if they're flank at the very least, because that used to be a change they made back in the first game. So that's basically where I would put squad sight. And next it would be Aid Protocol from the Specialist. You are here. Aid Protocol. Not the most sexy ability of the Specialist, and I think it's partly why. Like the Specialist has this like rough reputation of being like not good because quote unquote they're not an alpha striking class, which many people strive to kill. Basically, like you see a pot and you kill on the turn you see it, which is obviously ideally how you want to play the game, but obviously you're playing XCOM, so stuff can go not the way you'd want them to go. And Aid Protocol is good for that, because the thing with Aid Protocol is it is a single action, so you can Aid Protocol and then shoot if you don't have to move. B, the cooldown is really short, it's like 2 turns, so you can like use it, then the next turn you don't have it, and the turn after you have it again, so you can really use it without having to worry about not having it later. The other thing that's kind of cool with Aid Protocol is like if you have, like, let's say you're starting your playthrough, squad side of 4, and you have like 3 people behind full cover, but then like you have, let's say, your ranger that you want to move forward, but then there's only half cover. The good thing with Aid Protocol is you could Aid Protocol the ranger to go to a half cover to make it full cover, and no matter who the enemy shoots, they're gonna have to shoot through full cover, so that's a neat little thing. If you know how the AI target prioritization work, you can use Aid Protocol to your advantage there, because the enemy always shoot the enemy they have the highest chance to hit, unless they use ability like grenades or micro missile or whatever. But yeah, for when they shoot, they will always take the easiest shot they have. Aid Protocol gets better as you progress through the game, because it gets significantly better compared to the enemy enemy aim scaling, because it starts with plus 20 defense, but it gets to plus 40 when you have the sectopod autopsies. I mean, yeah, with that being said, I think Aid Protocol is decent. It's not great, but it gets the job done. I would put it in B tier. It gets much better though when a Specialist gets to Captain, but we'll get to that later. Now I'll actually skip this PsyOp for now. I'll do them at the end because they're a late game class. I think what makes more sense to. So I guess next we could do the faction class, or I will do a Spark. Mechanical Chassis. Is that really an ability? I never thought about that, because that's basically just like, oh yeah, the Spark is a robot. That's what it is. I kind of don't want to rank this. Well, we'll do Overdrive first. Overdrive though, oh Jesus, that's a fantastic ability. That's the first S tier for sure. So that's the bread and butter of the Sparks. So in case you don't use Spark, let me explain it to you. So Overdrive gives you one action, and it makes all the action you take being not turn ending, so, and only costs one action. So let's say you don't move, and there's like people in front of you. That allows your spark to go from, well, you, like other classes, just shooting, being able to shoot and then hands their turn, to potentially being able to shoot 3 times, being able to move or shoot if they have to, being able to use their heavy weapon and shoot twice. It is, because in XCOM 2, the action economy is king, and being able to just squeeze more action out of a turn is one of the many ways to succeed, basically. And this ability is literally like action economy. It's like literally what it does. The problem though with Overdrive is until you get to Corporal, you on your subsequent shot you get a penalty of, I think it's -15. So if you shoot 3 times, your first shot is going to be full accuracy, then the second one will be -15, then the third one will be -30 because it stacks. That's a problem with Overdrive, but it quickly gets fixed with once you get to Corporal by an ability. But yeah, Overdrive, I would say it's easily the best squaddy ability in the game. It's not even close. It is by far the best ability of the Spark. It's so good. If another class were able to get this, it would be like, imagine, I don't know, like a Grenadier with Overdrive, how busted they would be. It really, yeah, it really enables the Spark to, like on a difficult turn with a lot of enemies or whatever, or tough enemy, to really, yeah, help you deal with it by having more action in that turn. It's absolutely fantastic, yeah. Okay, do I want to rank a freaking mechanical chassis? Because that literally is just like, you're a robot. Like, it makes you immune to fire, and it doesn't really do much. It's like, do I want to rank this stupid ability? Like stuff like this, or like the focus from the... They're mostly just feature of the class, so I'm not even sure if I want to rank that. I'm actually gonna hold on. I'll think about it if I want to rank these or not. Seems kind of, yeah, weird. I guess we can do now the Reaper. Oh geez. I guess Shadow is an ability, yeah. I guess let's start with it. So, well, here's another S tier, Shadow. Reapers are straight up busted, and Shadow is the first reason why. So normally, when you're concealed with a normal class, you need to be further than like 8 tile from an enemy for them to not see you. Shadow, on the other hand, you literally have to be hugging an enemy for them to see you. So it really allows the Reaper to just like scout super easily with little to no thought process. And it just gets better once your Reaper can do more stuff later with more ability. But yeah, it's just like a conceal on steroid. There's not much to say about it, but it is one of the best ability in the game by far. It's just OP. It's one of the many ability of the Reaper that are just straight up overtuned. I don't have much else to say because it's just as OP. The Claymore. Claymore is good. Claymore is good. I would probably put it A tier. About the same as the launch grenade. Yeah, Claymore is a good ability. Allows the Reaper to set up a pod by damaging them before they're reveal and scatter, so that the rest of your team, when they start shooting at it, have less work to do. So yeah, the Claymore is great. It's if you like chucking grenade at pod that are not revealed yet, yeah, the Claymore is a good tool for that, to just throw the Claymore, trigger it, do damage, also shred, and also another utility that get much better with a later ability, but we'll get to that as well. So yeah, the Claymore, not much to say about it, it's just good. That leaves... Well, I guess now we can go to the Skirmisher. Marauder. The trademark of the Skirmisher. Skirmisher are kind of designed to be an action economy class, and Marauder is really that. It's just like being able to shoot twice, no matter your rank with your Skirmisher. Early on, this is amazing because you basically do double damage of another class. So, because basically at the start of a playthrough, especially if you start with the Skirmisher, which is basically the strongest start you can have if you choose your faction, being able to do 3 to 4 2-time per turn, and I can combo with Justice, which I will talk about right after, versus, let's say, a Grenadier that can do, I guess, 4 to 6, or a Specialist that can do 3 to 2, 3 to 5. Like the damage difference, like the damage might not be too impressive because it goes from like being able to do on a single target like 6 to 8. But the thing that is really good with Marauder is that it allows Skirmisher to early on deal with multiple enemy in a pod, which is quite valuable. Like you can just like well, I guess we'll get to Justice very soon, but like Justice, a trooper, straight up one-tap them, and then your Skirmisher can still shoot if they don't have to move. So the only problem with Marauder is that the bullpup, the weapon of the Skirmisher, doesn't scale super well, and I think that's the one thing that holds this ability from S tier. But nah, this is good ability. Being able to shoot twice is good. It's more action economy. And now, while I was talking about it, Justice, basically you grapple an enemy toward you to then slap them with your Ripjack. It starts with 4 damage, it gets to 6 with damage when you get to tier 2 Ripjack, and 8 damage when you get to tier 3. Justice is really what I would call an early game ability. It really makes the early game easier by being able to like Justice like enemy behind like good cover toward you. But the problem with this ability is it doesn't scale well, because most of the enemy you'll face late game are, you can't hit them because you can only grapple enemy that are like humanoid toward you. So with that being said, like late game it severely falls off, so I would probably put it B tier. I think it's a bit overrated because yeah, it's like really good early, but it then becomes almost useless later. And a grapple. Grapple is good. It's very straightforward, gives you access to high ground for free on a cooldown. I think the cooldown is like 3 turn. I'm not exactly sure about that. But yeah, I would probably put it A tier. It's one of the Skirmisher good ability. Because yeah, high ground is something you should always strive to, for the most part, get to, because it gives you more aim, which allows you to more consistently take out pods, which is important. And it doesn't cost an action, so you can grapple to an high ground and shoot twice, so very good combo. Or you grapple to an high ground to then Justice, because Justice benefit from high ground bonuses. So yeah, this little trio is like really what makes the Skirmisher a really good class early game. So yeah, not much to say really about this ability. It's very simple. It's just a grapple. And it is good. Now for the Templar, Rand. Well, I did put Slash to the C tier, because Slash by itself has one problem, not only that I haven't mentioned, is the fact I can actually miss, because you're not guaranteed to hit that. Rand, on the other hand, doesn't have that problem, so it automatically makes it better, but I wouldn't say it's that much better. So basically everything I've said about Slash is applicable to Rand minus the aim problem, because Rand will always hit. So yeah, same problem with an extra quality. So I guess B tier for you is fair. Not gonna rank Focus. I don't really consider that an ability, but just a feature of the class. So I guess Focus, you can go here. Volt on the other end is an ability. Yeah, Volt is pretty meh. I honestly would say it's worse than Slash. Like, Volt is an ability I never want to have to use it. But there are some niche cases where it can be useful, I'll admit. When enemies are behind cover and you have no other means to like take them out in their low HP. This feels a similar purpose as combat protocols, so I'll put you D tier. Problem with Volt is that it costs a focus for an ability that doesn't even do amazing damage, so yeah. Like early on it's like 2 to 5, or eventually it gets to like 4 to 7, I think. It's not an ability I've used enough, so I just know it does like terrible damage. And it costs a focus, and like if you have more than one, I'm pretty sure the it changed to other or like nearby target, which I mean it can help, but still not a great ability. And that's it for the squaddy ability. Do I want to rank this shit? If I were to compare mechanical chassis, would it? I guess it's kind of like Fortress. One of the psyop ability. It's just not great though. It makes you immune to stuff that you don't usually care about, which is like fire and poison. And yeah, we're gonna go in E tier. Not much to say about it. It's just a worse Fortress. So yeah. Alright, now for the corporal abilities. Phantom, the ranger ability. Phantom is definitely better than Slash by a huge margin. It's actually a good ability. I would say it's between B or A. So I've mentioned that this tier list is taking into consideration Grim Horizon, and there's a dark event that basically makes you not start with concealment for the rest of your playthrough. If this happens to proc, your quote-unquote counter to this is actually Phantom, and I guess Shadow for that matter. And for that, I would say Phantom is actually even better if you play with Grim Horizon, because concealment is important. Is it B plus-ish, or is it A though? Because Phantom is good. Problem with Phantom is that in the early game you just don't have the action economy to allow your Phantom Ranger to stay in concealment. If you take Phantom early, you'll usually have to come out of it until you have like either more bigger squad size, or if you do foreman, to have like more action economy to work with to allow your Ranger to stay in concealment. And I'm not sure here. B or Phantom, B or A. Is Phantom better than the grapple? It definitely is better than 8 Protocol, that's for sure. And Rand and Justice for sure. Is it better in squad side? And the late game squad side is amazing. For now, I'll leave you here. Because yeah, mostly Phantom. The cool thing about it is, well, it does synergize with an ability later called Shadow Strike. But I'll get to that when we get to Shadow Strike. Phantom, like I mentioned, it allows you to counter a dark event that makes you no longer have concealment at the start of a mission. Because if so basically, if you have Phantom and this dark event is in action, you that soldier will still have concealment. And also, if you start a mission, that some mission makes you not start with concealment, like retaliation mission, soldiers with Phantom and Shadow will still have these. So well, this tier list is my fucking idea, first of all, and I don't care what you think about it. If you don't fucking like a tier list, you just don't have to watch. Simple. Yeah, Phantom. I might move you up here for now. I'll leave you there. Blade Master. Blade Master suffers from the same problem as Slash because it's just an upgrade to Slash. It fixes, well, fixes, that's a big word. It helps mitigate one of the problems of Slash, which is the accuracy. And it makes the damage better. In the early game, Blade Master is cool because it allows Slash to one-shot troopers. That is nice. And in the late game, Blade Master becomes pretty good when you have Blade Storm and the Katana, but that's more of a late game thing. Yeah. Blade Master, I definitely don't think it's mostly, yeah, good in those two situations, like early game versus troopers to one-shot them if you need to, and late game when like I said, you have Blade Storm and the Katana. Other than that, it's not an ability I make big use of. It definitely is worse than this tier, that's for sure. I probably will just put you at Slash. I mean, the late game though, the extra 2 damages when you have the Katana really makes a difference. I'll probably put this on YouTube, yeah. Do I put Blade Master? If I put it in B, it's like a low B. Because so basically, Blade Master, when you have the Katana, also if you have the beam weapon and the sword breakthrough, it actually allows you, it gets the sword to some breakpoint that are pretty nice, like, because it puts your sword's damage to 12 to 13. That allows you, if you have Blade Storm and the Katana, to single-handedly deal with Archon, which is nice, because you don't have to deal with their dodge and their defense. You can potentially one-tap Chrysalid. Yet again, if you have Blade Storm, it's already good against them, but being able to potentially kill them with no need of other people helping you. And that's actually, okay, maybe your B tier. Okay, that's a good enough point for it. Fair enough, your B tier. Okay, well, I'll keep these for when we get to Sergeant abilities. So now we go to, oh, it's these. Blast Padding. A pretty shit ability. So basically, Blast Padding makes you take, what is it, 32% of like explosive damage. And it doesn't even work on like all explosive damage, which is misleading. And it gives you 1 armor. I only pick Blast Padding on soldiers that can have it, whether through like the training center or Grenadier. If I have like a bunch of AP and I have nothing else to pick, but other than that, it's a pretty shit ability. Like 1 armor, for the most part, rarely makes a difference. Sometimes it does, but... And resistance to explosive is nice. But usually you should try to position your people so they don't get grenaded. And even if like this happens, usually you'll still die from like, if someone else gets an action after the person that threw a grenade at you, you'll still just get most likely 1 tap by a crit. So at best it is D tier. That's probably where I'll put it. I think it's the bonus it gives are more interesting than these, I would say. Mainly the armor can be nice, but it's not better in D tier. There's no way. At least it does something, because, well, I guess I haven't really mentioned, but like, yeah, obviously S tier is like the best and like the meta or like the essential ability. That's like good, like very good. That's like above average to good. That's like average. That's like below average. That's like trash. And F is what I would consider an ability that does like straight up nothing. And some of this game ability literally do nothing. So I guess, yeah. Blast Padding effect is not great, but at least it does something. So D tier. I might be inclined to drop you here. We'll see how the tier list shapes up. Then it should be... Where are you? Shredder. Are you ranking these based on the AP point? If you, by AP you mean I don't really value the cost of I don't think an ability gets higher or lower based on its cost, so I would say no. But yeah, I mean, if you were to buy it, it's cheap, but there's so many other abilities you should buy before buying blast padding, so yeah. Shredder, oh my god. You get here, you're just too essential. Well, I just said that S tier is what I would consider either meta-defining or just an essential. Shadow is what I would, or yeah, Shadow is an example of what I would consider meta-defining by how busted it is. Shredder is what I would consider essential by just how much you need this ability to play the game effectively. The irony with Shredder is you get it so early, but early there's basically nothing with armor. But by the time you get to the mid to the late game, it's just you need people with Shredder. You need to be able to shred. Otherwise, too many enemy will be just way more difficult to kill. Like, because the way to see Shredder and armor in general is that if an ability like Shredder that allows you to shred armor based on your weapon tier allows you to, by the result of shredding armor, to potentially have to shoot one last shot at a target, the payoff is huge. It's in those circumstances, it's kind of like if you pseudo had like a rapid fire in terms of like action efficiency. So I might actually go to say that Shredder is the best ability in the game. I might actually go that far. I guess we'll see at the end, but it definitely is a strong contender for the best ability. Because, well, if you want to fight Andro, well, good luck dealing with that at first form if you don't have any form of shredding. Sectopod, yeah, sure. I mean, you could do with the Fend Fire slash like Lightning Hand slash Dark Claw slash Blue Screen Run combo, but you need to kill a Chosen for that, so that's like only late game material combo. But yeah. It's no, Shredder is just amazing. Okay, I mean, if you're gonna make comments like that though, like I said, I just don't fucking care. It's like, of course people that watch this know what this ability does, like, but it's like how good it is, like some people might not fucking understand like the value of shredding armor. I mean, if you want to ban, there you go. Get out of here. Yeah, Shredder is... Oh, did I not do Fire Pistol? I don't consider that an ability. That's just shoot a different gun. Yeah. Shredder, one of the best abilities in the game for sure. Then that leads to... Yeah, Shredder, like I said, amazing. Leads to Long Watch and Return Fire of the Sharpshooter. Let's do Long Watch first. Long Watch is basically just an upgrade to Squad Sight. It allows your Sharpshooter to, when they overwatch, being able to shoot people that are through Squad Sight range. That's pretty useful. I'll basically put you with Squad Sight. Literally just an upgrade to Squad Sight, which I think can make the ability better. I kind of feel like this should have just been part of Squad Sight by default, but that's how the game is. Not much to say about Long Watch. It's just an upgrade. Some of these abilities I'm not gonna bother too much explaining, so this list doesn't last like 5 hours. Return Fire, this thing is terrible. Well, ideally you don't want to get shot at, but then sometime, obviously you're playing XCOM, it will happen. You either fuck up or your dude just miss or whatever, so you'll be taking shots. But this ability won't help you, and here's why. The problem with return fire is that you're first of all, it's a sharpshooter ability. When you get shot at, you shoot your pistol, not your sniper, so you're gonna do shitty damage to begin with. The second problem is that when you're shooting at the enemy is likely gonna be behind cover, so you have to deal with cover defense bonus on top. And I think return fire is considered a reaction shot, so it has the Overwatch penalty. That I'm not sure, but I think it does. Had those two together, and like this ability, well, rarely hit. But the worst part to me is the fact that you take the shot after you're shot at, and the sharpshooter as a class has mediocre HP progression, and it's a class that can easily get shot at one tap easily, like especially if they get a crit, like they rarely will survive a crit. So this ability just doesn't help. Like, it's really mediocre. Whereas like blast padding, if you get to that situation, actually does more. Like, you could actually survive the hit. So yeah, I think you're gonna go and eat here. You're just straight up dog shit. And Skirmisher can get it. And I think I'll consider like ability that can be on multiple class. I would say it's actually better on Skirmisher because their gun does more damage than pistol. Still, you don't want to get shot at anyway, and if you do, this doesn't help you effectively. So terrible ability. Never pick this. Yeah, just dog shit. Next would be the specialist. Oh, there's remote hacking. Well, that's not an ability that the game displays, but that's like the one that allows you to get to objective, right? Right? Yeah, I think so, because Haywire Protocol would be the one that hacks robot. Remote hacking. That's pretty good, actually. What's wrong with the music? Oh, it just paused, sorry. Remote hacking. Yeah, that's actually pretty good, especially I find it particularly useful in the early game when you get the hack objective. It effectively gives you at least like an extra turn, so and when your dudes are sucky, they're gonna miss, turn can go wrong, making you waste time, and that actually helps with that. So yeah, this is that's a good ability. I would say B tier. Not much to say, but like, yeah, the fact that you can do it remotely can also allow you to get to objective by potentially avoiding a pod, which has some merit, because then you can set up Overwatch trap, waiting for them to come to you. So yeah, no, remote hacking is useful. Almost forgot this thing, because that's not an ability that's really displayed, I believe. But yeah, let's go back to the corporal ability, because oh my god, one of these here is actually valuable. I'll do combat protocol first, because I see a lot of people that use this ability and I simply can't understand. So combat protocol allows your specialist drone to be sent to zap a target for 2 damage. I'm pretty sure it completely bypass armor, and it has a built-in squad sight, kind of like the sharpshooter. So that can be useful. The problem with combat protocol is, first, you're not picking medical protocol, and I'll get to it. The second problem is the specialist is not a class, it's not a sharpshooter, so it should be positioned so that it can shoot people to begin with. You shouldn't need the squad sight property of this ability ever, because you're not a sharpshooter. And the last problem of combat protocol is that what it does can be done with a stock anyway. So why use combat protocol? It's, yeah, I think it's just D tier. It's just not good. It's like, I never spec into this ability. It has some niche uses, like being able to damage potentially like to deal with turrets, because it bypassed their huge armor early game, but the turrets are just such a crappy enemy that they're not a threat, so I don't think it makes it higher. And yeah, no, this ability is just, I think that's a trap. It's one of the noob trap in this game that people fall into. They think that like, oh, you need to alpha strike, so you need the combat damage ability of a specialist, when it's actually incorrect. Because Medical Protocol is just a mile better, and I would actually put it S tier. Or like on the lower end of S tier. But Medical Protocol is freaking amazing. And here's why it blows Combat Protocol by a mile. Well, we established that Combat Protocol property can be done with a stock, right? Here's the thing with Combat Protocol, Medical Protocol. It is a single action that doesn't end your turn, so you can heal someone and then shoot. Now that we've established this, well, that makes it a better ability from an action economy standpoint. But then if you were to give stocks to your specialist, if you get one early, you can literally get that built in by just but also Medical Protocol by just picking Medical Protocol and then giving them a stock. So now you can heal, but then also pseudo combat protocol an enemy that needs to be shot through, like, and need that guaranteed 1 damage. And like I said, yeah, XCOM is a game that you ideally want to alpha strike and like kill pod on the turn they appear, but you're playing XCOM, a game that will throw, like, not every shot connects. The game sometimes can bug and put you in a situation that you did not expect, stuff like that, and that can lead to people being wounded. So yeah, Medical Protocol can make the difference between someone surviving these kind of scenario or not. The amount of time I've retained someone just by being able to heal them is just, and it's the only class that can do it other than the Spark, but the Spark can only heal themselves. And like, I think the thing that makes Medical Protocol, like I said, amazing is the fact that you can still shoot after. Like, it doesn't waste your turn. You heal and like you can still shoot. Like, that's simply amazing. It's one of the many ability that makes the specialist amazing. I think it could also be considered it to be A+. We'll see. I think it's between S or A, but I think it's like really good for sure. Mainly because of the action economy part of it. And now let's do, I guess the next is the Spark. Bulwark is basically a worse blast padding, because what it does is give the Spark an extra armor, which is actually good because Spark are good at tanking. But it also turns a Spark into a mobile full cover. And that's what actually makes this ability bad, because you don't want to clump your dude together, because they could be, the enemy could AoE you with grenades or micro missile or whatever other ability. And 1 armor, I don't know if it really makes a difference on the Spark who already come with armor, but the other problem with the Bulwark is that it's on a class that can't use the training center, and that means you can't get the other ability, which is a mile better. So Bulwark, I would actually put it even lower in blast. It's just a downgrade to blast padding, so yeah, go here. Adaptive aim though. Remember how I mentioned earlier that the overdrive have a penalty for subsequent shot? Adaptive aim literally gets rid of that, and it makes spamming shot with overdrive a much more viable strategy. And yeah, just I'll just put it with that overdrive. It's just, it makes overdrive significantly better. If I feel like if you don't pick adaptive aim, the overdrive value drops, because you won't have this this consistency on your shots anymore. Because like, yeah, the first shot will be good, but then like all the other shots are gonna be crappy because of the penalty. So yeah, adaptive aim is great. Not much more to say. It's just an upgrade to overdrive. Then next would be the Reaper. Oh boy. Blood Trail and Remote Start. Let's do Remote Start first, because this ability is straight up busted. Remote Start allows the Reaper to detonate an environmental like explosive like cars or propane tank, which allows the Reaper which allows to do double damage, and it doubles the range of those explosive. It is one of the many ability of the Reaper that is just straight up busted by its design. Because in the early game, if you do, let's say, a Reaper start, you can get this early enough where your Reaper can single-handedly one-shot pods with that. Find me another character in the early game that can do that. I'll wait, because there is none. By themselves. And even in the late game, when like it won't one-shot most enemy anymore, it still will like severely damage them, which is great. And the best, I think the thing that really makes this thing OP is the fact that you don't reveal yourself. Like some of the other Reaper's ability, even some of the like much later one actually reveal yourself. This one does not. I would actually put this around here, yeah. Yeah, remote start, like, it's only quote-unquote problem, and I find that silly to call it a problem when you consider, like, how broken it is by design, is the fact that you can sometimes be on maps that don't have explosive. But I still don't think it, like, really changed the value of this ability. It's just, like, sometimes it can completely trivialize mission. There's very few ability that can do that, so yeah, remote start, S tier, easy. The other ability, Blood Trail. When an enemy was damaged on the turn, your Reaper, when they shoot at it, will do 1 extra damage. That's actually useful because the Reaper damage is really terrible unless they crit. And that helps a bit. And more damage is always nice. I would probably put it around like Blade Master level. Yeah. It can make the difference between you having to rely either on a high roll or a crit versus you getting the kill guaranteed because of that extra damage. So yeah, Blood Trail is good. It combos well with an ability they get later. But yeah, Blood Trail is that's decent for you. It's good. Next will be the Skirmisher. Oh boy, now we're getting into crappy territory. Reflex. Well, if I put Return Fire E tier, Reflex has to be E tier as well. Although, I would actually put it above for one reason. So basically, Reflex, when you get shot at, much like Return Fire, its effect proc. But the effect instead of shooting is you get an extra action on the next turn. Like I said, this game is a game about action economy. This actually, I feel like that I probably prefer Reflex over Return Fire because at least you can choose what you do with that action. Although ideally you don't want to have this ability proc, but yeah. The problem with Reflex is first, what I just said, you don't want to get shot at in the first place, but the second problem is the fact that it only procs once per mission, which is really the nail in the coffin for this ability. So yeah, basically everything I said about Return Fire applies here. At least in the... it doesn't really help you, but... Yeah, I mean... some abilities are good to help you when you get shot at, like Medical Protocol. Because, yeah, you get shot at, but then you heal it off while still being able to shoot. And that basically negated the damage, like the turn of the enemy that just shot you. But this, nah. Yeah, nah, Reflex is just terrible. Total Combat is a bit better. Being able to chuck a grenade without handing your turn or anything else. I just don't think it... I mean, Action Economy, like I said, is good, but some are just made better than the other, and Total Combat is just not great. It's mostly what you pick early because it's just better in Reflex, but to say that it's better in Justice, just fuck no. It's probably around like Slash level. Total Combat is quickly... It's something I usually will quickly respec out of it. Because late game, usually you just want your Skirmisher to be shooting. You don't want him to be chucking grenade. That's the Grenadier's role, not the Skirmisher role. And usually, very quickly, you want your grenade to be able to blow like more than one person cover, and the only class that can do that is the Grenadier with their grenade launcher, or the Spark and their heavy weapon. So yeah, it's that's pretty poop. But in the early game, it's okay if like you want to like blow someone's cover and then shoot them. Definitely better in reflex. All right, parry. That is an amazing ability. Easy S tier. Is it better than medical protocol? Sure. Is it better than remote start? Could be debated. I'll put it here for now. So parry, when you ran with your Templar, you now have the ability. So normally when you ran with the Templar, I forgot to mention it, but they get the ability to call momentum, which allows the Templar to. They're basically given an extra action that is a move only action. But instead, now you can use that action to parry, which allows the next attack done on the Templar to be completely mitigated, no matter the type or the damage it normally would do. It just get completely blocked. So yeah, if you have like, I don't know, an Andromedon that you just didn't manage to kill, and let's assume your dudes are not clumped together, you can parry on the Andromedon and just waste it as action. It's a really good ability to waste enemies' action, so in that regard it's really good. And to also ensure you don't take damage. And it's very easy to trigger because you literally just need to ran. Like it's not, yeah, it's very easy to set up. And you get it early, so yeah, parry is amazing. It's just an upgrade to an ability that the Ranger gets later. So very good ability. Aftershock on the other end is, well, that's an upgrade to Volt, and an upgrade that's not, I don't think it's good. Simple as that. It probably is, yeah, prayer next to Volt. So now when you Volt an enemy, you apply an aim buff for your teammate when they're gonna shoot that enemy. But the problem is, the effect is not per se bad. The problem is you're using Volt to trigger it. And yeah, Volt is just not great, so if you want to like give aim bonus to your to the rest of your team, Grenadier's auto targeting, which is right here, is much better. So yeah, that is, I think, all the corporal ability. We can move on to Sergeant. Shadow Strike. For the longest time, I used to not think much of this ability, but recently I've come to really appreciate it and see its value. I would easily put it at, for me, it's definitely an A tier. I'll probably put it here, actually. Shadow Strike is great. Basically, Shadow Strike, it gives 25 aim and 25 crit chance to your two shots you take from concealment. And many will say that Shadow Strike is not that great because it's like a once or twice per mission, because Rangers, when they shoot out of concealment, they break concealment. They get an ability later called Conceal that gives them an extra charge, but yeah. The thing with Shadow Strike is that, well, most map will have about 4 to 5 pod, depending on how far you're in the campaign. And usually your Ranger will shoot like per pod ideally once. So the quality of this ability is that, first of all, it gives you consistency on both your hit chance, which is usually not a problem with the Ranger, but more so on your crit chance, which is really nice early because you don't have Talon rounds and maybe laser sight. The other quality of Shadow Strike is it allows the Ranger to take their shot from further away, thus allowing the Ranger to do their job without triggering other pod. And that, to me, is really what sold it to me, because it does what like, it's like the opposite of Slash, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like Slash, the problem is that you run the risk of getting into an enemy face, and then by doing that you trigger another pod. Shadow Strike, by still allowing your ranger to take good shot from further away is the opposite. It allows them to, yeah, literally get the job done from a safer position. So yeah, even if you can only like usually do it twice per mission, yeah, that's really amazing. Because the other problem I think we've all run into is you start a mission, take the first shot from concealment, and then the guy misses. That is really a bad way to start a mission, and like something that can really set you back more than you'd think. And this really solves that, because it's actually going to be really hard for the ranger to take a shot that's not guaranteed. It would have to be really far. So yeah, really good. Shadow Step, the other ability for Sergeant Ranger, basically make them immune to overwatches and reaction fire. Not the most useful ability. Overwatches in XCOM 2s are not as deadly as in Enemy Within. In Enemy Within, overwatches were significantly more of a threat and more present. Here, Shadow Step is nice mostly against, I guess you could say, two enemy. The first one being heavy mech, so like the red mech that mainly when you reveal them, they'll usually go on Overwatch, so that allows the ranger to not have to worry about it. But usually you'll want to kill the mech anyway, so you'll usually find a way. Let's say you move, if you know there's a pod with a heavy mech, you'll move potentially your Grenadier that will kill it, so that they don't have to move after and are in range to shoot it. Shadow Step can also help against Chosen if they have some of their strength that makes them return fire if you miss, or go on Overwatch at the end of the turn, gets completely countered by this, so has some use. I'll probably put it in the B tier though. It's good, but it's kind of niche. Next into, I guess, would be Grenadier with Demolition and Suppression. Demolition is an ability that gets a lot of hate, and while it's not the greatest, I will actually defend it here. So Demolition I would actually put, like, some people would probably put it here. They would say it does nothing, but I'll actually put it C tier. And here's my reasoning. Demolition is really nice in some kind of niche scenario, but scenario that, well, are really nice. First one, when you're still in the early game. And you still have Frag Grenade that can't destroy trees in single use. Demolition can actually allow you to destroy these trees in a single action, which yeah, that can mostly only be done later when you have Plasma Grenade. The second case I really like Demolition is versus Codexes. Codexes split when they take damage, and if you wanted to avoid that by breaking their cover, you'd have to throw a grenade, but not on the Codex, but only on a cover. But then if you're going to do that, you might as well just Demolition to just break the cover without damaging the Codex, right? And some could come and say that this ability could run into the problem of its inconsistency, and that is true. But Demolition chances are based on your Grenadier's raw aim. So like not like scopes, not the value that is like determined like after you have scopes, but like your really raw number. Like if you look at like your Grenadier's stats, there's like the aim number and then there's like a plus. Demolition will only take the raw number, not the plus. Okay, and it has a little bonus on top of it that comes from Demolition. So if you give covered action or aim PCS to your Grenadier, and you should, because Grenadiers are absolutely fantastic, you can actually make Demolition guaranteed to work. A little note about Demolition: there's some cover in this game that are outright indestructible, and Demolition still can destroy them. So yeah, Just like some of the pillar and sewer maps are outright indestructible, so you don't try to use demolition on them, it will not work. But yeah, the other case I like demolition, to add more into it, is especially on 4 men, where you only bring 4 people per mission. That means you have less grenades, so demolition can actually allow you to save on grenade for other pods that are more difficult, because sometimes you'll fight a pod and it's like 2 enemies that are like super weak and you just don't want to waste grenade on that, so demolition can actually help dealing with it. So yeah, that's my defense of demolition. Not the greatest ability, but it has some merits, has some uses. The other ability would be, where are you? Suppression, there you go. Suppression I have a hard time finding a use for though. Because like I said, you usually want to be killing stuff, not... I'll probably put a D tier. Usually want to be killing stuff, not leaving them alive, but suppression runs into a few problems. The first one being that usually when, let's say, a turn didn't go bad, you will only know it after everybody miss, right? And that's usually after the Grenadier has taken their shot. Which usually Grenadiers are often the first to take their action because they have to shred, they have to holo target, they have to chuck grenade. So they usually will have to take action that are taken first or very close to first in a turn. So that means unless you bring multiple Grenadier, your Grenadiers, if you only bring one, will already have usually their action taken already most of the time. Because suppression is more an ability you use like, yeah, at the end of the turn when like shit didn't go well and like you want to like sort of like mitigate the damage you'll take. Which at that it actually can make a difference. And that's why it's not lower. It can actually help against some enemy like the Hunter, for example, who likes to go on high ground and shoot you, but then you can suppress it. It can help against Archon King, which can be a pretty big pain in your ass. So it actually is useful against like nasty enemy. So it's just like a really niche ability that I feel like when I used to take it, because I basically almost never do now, I never made use of. I actually use demolition way more than suppression. So yeah, these days I mostly pick demolition over suppression. But there's some like really rare niche cases where suppression could be good. Yeah. Not sure if it's like part of suppression too, but I've noticed like when you use suppression, like the AI tends to do like weird stuff and sometimes kind of waste their turns, so yeah. I guess there is that, but I'm not sure if it's because of suppression. Anyway, I'll put it here for now. Now we are into Sharpshooters, Deadeye versus Lightning Hand. I like Deadeye, but more in the late game. Aside from that, like for most of your playthroughs, it's a pretty ability. It's like super inconsistent. Yeah. The Deadeye's big problem is like the aim penalty is just too severe. It's like you lose 25% of your aim on your shot. Not 25 aim, 25%. So if you take a guy with like I don't know, you want to shoot someone behind half cover and your guy's total aim is like 120. Like it would have dropped down to 100, but if you took a normal shot after the cover bonus supply. But now you go down to like, I'm not sure exactly the order the aim is calculated, but it's like probably something in the 75-ish. So yeah, it's and that is, yeah, the aim penalty, like it leads to a lot of issue of like, first, inconsistency, second, if you shoot someone with less than 100%, then if they have dodge, you run into the risk of not doing full damage, making the damage bonus of Deadeye pointless. It's, yeah. I like Deadeye in the late game, yeah, when you have Sharpshooter that are like Colonel or Major that have no issue hitting their shot, that have a lot of aim. And that, yeah, those issues become irrelevant, basically. But up to that point, yeah, Deadeye is a basically dead ability that you'll basically never use. And that's why I can't put it higher than C tier. In the late game, it's good though, because it's one of the few damage ability your sniper sharpshooter can use through squad side. Because a squad side, I guess I didn't mention it with squad side, but it has, I think it's a bug. You can't use ability from other class like rapid fire and chain shot through squad side. You have to be within. You have to be able to see the enemy yourself. Lightning Hand, on the other hand, I mean, it's pretty good. Getting a free pistol shot in the early game, I would say it is better. I think it becomes worse in the late game than Deadeye, though. I would put probably B or A. It's probably an A, though. It's a free action. Yeah, probably is A tier. Is it though? Because like you're taking a free shot, but it's like, well, first you have to be within. You have to be able to see the enemy. So depending on like how you use your sniper, you sometimes can't see them. And I mean, it's usually going to be pretty weak damage, but it's energized well with blue screen and any ammo type in general. Is it better in Phantom? That feels kind of wrong though. I think that Lightning Hand is better in Phantom? Now that I say that, I kind of feel wrong about putting this here. Maybe you two should swap actually. Well, yeah, I definitely would say Phantom is better. And I was saying Phantom, I might put it here, so yeah. Because Lightning is cool, like, in the late game too, when you have blue screen run and like the Dark Claw and like Fen Fire and a Quick Draw for the Gunslinger Sectopod Destroyer build, you could call, or Gatekeeper Destroyer. Basically anything mechanical, you can just spam shot at them and then they're gonna die. But the damage it gives is, I mean, it's a good ability, but it's like you don't get it every turn, and it yeah. The thing I like with Lightning Hand in the early game is like you can move, like especially when Sharpshooter has to move a lot to not get too big of a penalty from squad side. You can move, then shoot your pistol twice still, which leads to, you know, decent damage. So yeah, no, Lightning Hand is good. I would say definitely better than Deadeye. But I think like some people kind of overrate this ability. Because yeah, it's a free action, so it's good for action economy, but it's not like an amazing action. Like it won't have the value of a overdrive extra action or whatever. Next would be Specialist, Revival Protocol versus AWire Protocol. Well, Revival Protocol certainly is better than AWire. So Revival Protocol allows the Specialist to remove status effects that are like mental, like unconsciousness or panic on another soldiers. That's pretty good, yeah. It's kind of niche, but it's like a good niche to have, because much like the Medical Protocol, it is a single action. It also allows you on mission where you have to rescue a VIP and they have like a turret and like an unconscious soldiers with them. You can actually revive them with this ability. It's pretty cool also. I don't know why this keeps, this music thing keeps cutting out. Yeah. Revival Protocol is, I like it. You don't often use it, but when you do, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I would say B tier. Not much to say about it. AWire Protocol, though, too inconsistent if you fail it. So basically, AWire Protocol, I should say, allows you to hack robotic enemy, but it's pretty inefficient. The chances are of the enemy you would like to hack, such as like Sectopod or even like Heavy Mechs, are a bit more consistent, but it's yeah, it's just like taking control is just way too inconsistent. So you're usually going to just shut them down for a few turns. It's and it's like a turn-ending action, so you can't like do that and shoot after. I would actually put it. I feel like I've used AOR protocol on average about as much as suppression, so I think D tier for AOR is fair. It's an overrated ability. It's because robots, like, the best solution against them is blue screen round, not the AOR protocol. Blue screen round is like so OP, and it's so reliable. So you don't need AOR protocol. And in the cases. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, in the cases where AOR protocol could be useful, there's usually other ability that could also be useful, so yeah. Okay, can this shit like stop really? It's like never fucking works. I don't know what's wrong with the. Let me put it. Alright. Freaking play this. But yeah, AOR protocol I would put D tier. Next would be. I guess we're done with the specialist ability. Next would be the no wait, the Spark. Strike versus Rainmaker. Let's do Strike first because we already done Slash. Strike being simply a worse version of it. So I'll put. Basically here, everything I've said about Slash is applicable to Strike. But to make things worse, Spark don't get access to the katana. So. And they don't get access to Blade Master that makes the damage better. So yeah, no, terrible ability. It quote unquote synergized with other ability, but they're all trash. So it's just whack. Yeah, no. Especially when you compare it to Rainmaker, that is such a significantly better ability. Rainmaker makes your heavy weapon AoE much bigger and also do extra damage. That is good stuff to have. It is basically, it's similar to the Reaper, where is it, Shrapnel? Or the Grenadier Volatile makes, but like, it doesn't just increase damage, it's also the AoE, and the AoE size increases probably the best part about it. It really makes heavy weapon on Spark really deadly. And to me that's an easy A tier. Because they only have one charge per mission, so I can't put it in S tier, but yeah, I would say oh, I think I understand why the playlist. Oh, I think that's why. That's why the playlist was not working. It finished. Okay, there we go. But yeah, Rainmaker. Definitely an A tier ability, sorry. Really good. Not much to say about it, just makes your heavy weapon that are good better, so yeah. And I think like this tier has will have a few like single but good ability like Shadow Strike or Claymore, so yeah, I think putting it here is fair. Now to the Reaper that I just mentioned, and I was just mentioning it's Shrapnel. That is also an A tier ability for basically the same reason as Rainmaker, and it makes the Claymore significantly better because you go from 5 to 8 damage, and the AoE is like goes from a 3x3 to a 5x5, so it just makes the Claymore way better. So not much to say about it, just better Claymore is good. Do you get? Yeah, you guys get also target definition. Yeah, target definition. So when the Reapers see an enemy, if they go back to the Fog of War, you'll still have vision of them. Note on that, it doesn't synergize with Squad Sight because nobody technically has vision of it. It's kind of like when you scan something with a battle scanner or a scanning protocol. It's the same idea. Target definition is... it's alright. I mean, it has some uses. It's handy for like when your Reaper is like scouting around a lot and like sees a lot of pod to like keep track of like pod that you don't necessarily want to deal like with right now, but potentially later being able to still like know where they are. I mean, it's good. It's good. But it's not like something you absolutely need. I would probably put it like C tier. It's fair. It's fair, but it's definitely not among the Reaper's best ability. But it's fine. I do enjoy the idea and to use it, although I recognize it's definitely not the best ability. It's cool. Now into skirmishers. Oh boy, Rat versus Zero-In. Rat is justice, but reverse. So instead of grappling an enemy and pulling them toward you, you grapple to an enemy and move toward them, basically. And like I've said with Slash, it suffers from a similar problem that if you move toward an enemy, you run the risk of triggering another pod, making, you know, this ability naturally worse than Justice, but it has a few, there's a few cases I like it. First, unlike Justice, Rat can be used on any enemy, so it doesn't have to be any humanoid. That makes it, I think that redeems it a bit. Because cases where I really like Rat is like when you're fighting a Chosen, they're weak to the Skirmisher, so your Skirmisher will do more damage against them, and if they happen to also have ideally brittle, that makes your soldier do extra damage when you're close enough to a Chosen, well, you can Rat into a Chosen and have those two bonus proc together for pretty big damage. And then if that was your first action, then you can shoot again and yeah, in single-handedly with the Skirmisher do pretty big damage on a Chosen, which is particularly useful in the Stronghold where you don't have to worry about Rat main problem. But yeah, no, I mean, has some uses, but it's, yeah, you need to be careful with Rat. Zero-In. Basically, yeah, when you shoot again, like when you shoot, your subsequent shot get a aim and a crit bonus. And I think it is, if it's the same target, you get +10 aim and +10 crit. And if you shoot on a different target, you only get the crit bonus. I think Zero-In is it's not that great. Like, it's only on the second shot, and you have to be shooting the same target for you to benefit from the aim bonus, which is what you care the most about, because Skirmisher crit damage is horrible. I think it's in the C tier, honestly. We're probably on the higher end, but yeah, I feel like I don't often see the impact this has. It's all right, but it's not the most impactful ability. Helps when like you're taking 2 shots, it's like a 90, and then you go to the second shot goes to 100, so at least you know that your second shot is guaranteed to hit. But yeah, I feel like it should be opposite. It should give you the +10 aim no matter what, and then the crit, if it's the same target, it would make it a bit better. But yeah, it's all right, but it's not the best ability. And now for Templar's ability, Amplify, Overcharge, and Pillar. Wait, did I forget about Amplify? Oh, I apparently did. Whoops. And that's unfortunate because, yeah, actually Amplifier. I used to not really have an opinion on Amplifier up until recently, and I've come to really appreciate it. It's pretty nasty against Chosen. If you set it up properly, it leads to disgusting damage. So Amplify I would put right here. Amplify, definitely an A tier ability. The cool thing with Amplify is that it's a single action, so you can amplify and then ran if you want. So it's really good for action economy and like setting up damage for other people potentially. Yeah, I would say give it a try, but especially against Chosen that have Bewildered or Brittle. That start to be a lot of bonus damage combined together and can really, like recently I had my, like, I think I was fighting I think it was the Hunter, and I Amplify And I think he had Bewildered. My Ranger after that went in rapid fire for some disgusting number. I think it was like 35, which instantly killed the Hunter. And it was in the late game, so he was like fully upgraded and everything. So yeah, Amplify. Don't sleep on this ability. It's one of the great Templar's ability that I feel like people don't give enough credit for. Now for the actual Sergeant ability. Sorry about that. Overcharge. Of these three, I would say Overcharge is clearly the best one, but it's still... I'd probably put it C tier. It's not amazing. You rarely see the impact it has, because usually if your Templar slash something, you want it to kill. There's some cases where like Overcharge is really nice. When, particularly in 4-man, you will start seeing Berserker on your third retaliation, and for the type of run it is, that's really a damage check that is hard to pass actually. And you can bring the Templar just to like deal with the Berserker with parry, just like tanking their shot, their punch I should say. They don't shoot. And since you're not gonna kill them, you can farm focus on them, because you're usually gonna be slashing them a few times before they die. So yeah, I would say probably the C tier. Not great, but I mean, it has some impact. I definitely respect it more than these two, that's for sure. Pillar. Well, interesting thing with Pillar is that basically you use one focus to make a full cover, and unlike unlike Bulwark, you're not using a unit to make full cover, so you can go behind it and actually use the cover without running the risk of being blown up by grenade, as long as nobody else is nearby. Problem with the Pillar ability is the fact that, well, it used focus for an ability that I find not great. When XCOM 2, unlike XCOM 1, really doesn't have like low, like you have enough cover to work with. So I find Pillar, like you never use that really. But I would say, yeah, could be used, but I usually would like to use my focus on other ability like Amplify and some of the later ability than a Pillar. I guess if you really need the cover, I guess it works. Yeah, it definitely is better than Bulwark. And Stun Strike, well, hello, first F tier ability, because I've used this thing once and I was laughing because it literally did nothing. So basically Stun Strike, it's kind of like Flush from the first game, where it allows you to like push someone off of their cover. But, well, first problem, like some other ability, they are not consistent. I think it's like 70% chance to work, and worse, you can't increase that chance past, because I think it's based on your focus. I could be wrong. But the effect is just so trash, it literally does nothing. Like, I don't even want to waste too much time on this, because you should just never pick Stun Strike. It's just god-awful. First F tier for me. Absolutely useless. And like, yeah, if it's done, like, which it's like, the chance is like abysmal, it's just not, it's trash. And we are done with the Sergeant ability. We can move on to Lieutenant ability, and this rank has a lot of goodies. So Conceal, it's basically everything I said about Phantom, but you get to choose when you pop it, so by default it makes it better. I would put it probably here. Actually, Conceal is really good. It's basically what I said about Phantom, but it's a charge you get to use whenever you want. So yeah, that's really good. Not much to say about it. Extra charge means you can like Shadow Strike an extra time. So yeah. Run and Gun. Oh, I love this ability. If you were to ask me, this might be one of my favorite ability. I absolutely love Run and Gun. A good Run and Gun is so good. I recall in XCOM, when I did my tier list for the first game, I put it, I believe, in the A tier. XCOM 2 run and gun, though, is even better. I would actually put it probably here. It's really good. And run and gun, obviously, you can shoot after well, so basically you can double move and then still shoot when you pop it. The thing, and that's really good because the Rangers are at their best when they're flanking enemy, and run gun really enable that. But run and gun is even better than its enemy within counterpart, because you can actually use it not just to double move and shoot, you can use it in some neat creative way. The first one is, let's say your Ranger gets Psy bombed by a Codex and their gun is empty. Normally you'd run into the problem of you have to run away from it to not take the damage and reload, and you're left with no action. A Ranger can reload their gun, run and gun, move away, and still shoot. That's pretty cool. Another neat way that I really love is run and gun can be used to give an action to other bondmate. So normally teamwork, which is the ability that you get when you bond two people together to give an action to someone else, you're taking one of your action to give it to someone else. But let's say your Ranger, you want them to still do something with their two action for themselves. You can run and gun, give an action to the bondmate, then still, let's say, move and shoot, or reload and shoot, or whatever. It's run and gun is just amazing when you know how to use it properly. And I've some would call me hypocritical for putting this here and then slash here. Here's the difference too. If I go next, like close enough to someone to attack them, I'd rather go next to them and shoot them with a shotgun, with ideally laser sight and talent, because the damages will be significantly higher than just slash. And you can still Bladestorm after that, if you're into that, and we'll get to it later. The thing that run and gun have, unlike slash, is slash you really have to hand you with you next to the enemy. You don't really get to choose, like, aside from like detail around the enemy. Run and gun, you have the granularity of, if you know where the next spot is, you can run and gun right before you see it to still take your shot. So that movement, like granular movement, that this gives you, unlike slash, makes it significantly better, and everything else I've said about it. So yeah, run and gun is just simply amazing. Next, I guess we're gonna move on to Grenadier's heavy ordnance and auto targeting. Heavy ordnance, basically the Grenadiers comes with an extra slot that is grenade exclusive. That specific slot, the grenade in it will get an extra charge. By default, I would say this is like B tier, but there's one thing you can do about it that makes it better is, like I said, you put any grenade in, they get an extra charge. And you can actually put a frost bomb in it to have two on a mission. And I think that single-handedly, yeah, put it like an A tier. Otherwise, if you don't use frost bomb like I do, because I find that they make the game too easy, so I personally don't use them. But yeah, if you're like me and you don't use them, they're definitely, that's definitely a B tier ability. But yeah, I didn't put that as a disclaimer for the tier list, so yeah, I guess A tier for you just because of Frostbomb. Frostbomb are OP, so yeah. Auto targeting is also an A tier ability. It is simply amazing. It's like A+. So now your Grenadier, or other people that get auto targeting through the training center, but we'll take here a Grenadier. You know, now not only shred, but you remove armor with your shot. You also increase the chance of other people hitting target when they shoot someone you auto targeted. And auto targeting is particularly useful against enemy behind half cover, because now you're mostly negating most of their armor, defense, sorry. It's really good against Archon, because Archons are annoying to hit because of their natural 25 defense and 25 dodge. And it's also great against Gatekeeper and their nasty 40 defense. So yeah, auto targeting is just nice for really like better consistency for dealing with a later enemy. And usually you'll be getting this by the time you'll start. Your average Grenadier will get it by the time you start seeing Archons. So yeah, auto targeting is great. Just makes your subsequent shot more consistent. And then that's actually it for the Grenadier. Now into, oh boy, Sharpshooter. And here's I have a little problem here because yeah, I'm still not sure if I should consider. Should I consider like Dead from Above with only the like pre-Darklands or with the Darklands, and also should I consider Training Center? But I guess I'll try to explain it. So Dead from Above, when you have a Sharpshooter that doesn't have the Hunter Sniper, I guess I should explain what it does first. So basically when you get a kill while having high ground on someone, you're given basically an action. An extra action. So normally if you don't have the Hunter Sniper, like I was about to say, all you can basically do is either reload, move, or anchor down, pistol overwatch, or pistol shoot, or I guess give a bond, which has some merit. But yeah, if we were only considering that, I would probably put it C tier maybe. Now, if we're considering Sharpshooter with the Darklands or any other class that get it through the Training Center, you're gonna only cost one action, so you're gonna kill someone and then you get an action back. You can kill someone else, you get an action back. You kill someone else, you get an action back. You can do that infinitely. And for those class, definitely S tier. So now I'm not sure. Do I make an average of these two together? Or I just considered its peak potential? That's a... Huh. Because yeah, I think for like Sharpshooter that don't have the Darklands, I'd probably put it like C or D tier. And like I said, for classes that get it through the Training Center, like Specialists or Grenadier or Rangers, and Sharpshooter with the Darklands, it definitely is S tier. It's absolutely busted of a combo. To the point there's literally a mod that fixes that. If you really find that cheesy. And I think from the fact, like, yeah, if you consider, like, yeah, this ability can be obtained on, like, Rangers, Grenadier, Specialist, and Sharpshooter, I'll still just keep it in the, probably just in the S tier. Because it really is, it's just stupid. It's a stupid combo. Quick Draw. Quick Draw is, I would say, better than I would probably put that in A tier. It's probably like equivalent to Marauder, and it kind of does the same thing. Now when you shoot your pistol, instead of handing your turn, you only use one action, so you can pistol if you haven't moved. And yeah, that's pretty good. Because I mean, just give your Sharpshooter more action per turn, more shots, so basically what I said before about Marauder, Lightning Hand, so no, it's good. Quick Draw is good. It's just like, yeah, I mean, you're taking like pistol shots, so they don't do the same damage as like a shotgun or a cannon, so I can't put that in S tier, but I don't know, more action is great. Like, I guess, yeah, I'll start to be faster, because otherwise this tier list is gonna take forever. Next would be Field Medic and Scanning Protocol. Hey Dippy, what's up? How you doing? Hopefully you're doing good. I'll do Field Medic first because that's the ability most people, I think, pick when they get their Specialist to Lieutenant. Field medic, very simple. Just you get more extra medikit charges. You should equip a medikit on your specialist. They're the best class to hold it by far. And more charges is good. More charges is good. That's for sure. I'll put in B tier. Not much to say about it, especially when you're doing 4-man. Alpha striking pod is harder, and unless you're doing great with your action economy, yeah, sometimes you'll not kill everything and sometimes take damage. So yeah, just having more charge can be good. You're good and tired. All right. Scanning protocol. I think it's like many. It's an ability I would have rated very low for the longest time. Up until recently when I started to do 4-man challenges. And I really come to absolutely appreciate and love scanning protocol. Because, yeah. Scanning protocol is a single action. It's like a mega battle scanner around the specialist that uses it. That reveals every enemy for quite a distance around you. And yeah, it's quite amazing. For that, it actually allowed the specialists to be fulfilling the scouting role a bit. And like, if let's say you want to make a push with the ranger to flank someone, but you're not sure if like it's safe or not, you can have the specialist before they shoot scan, see if like there's people around. If it's safe, you can go for it. If not, then you adapt and come with another plan. So absolutely amazing ability. I would say it's better. I would actually put you... I'm putting you pretty high, apparently. About here, I would say. Yeah, scanning protocol is great. Scouting is always good, so an ability that, yeah, prevent more scouting is amazing. And by the way, when you get your Gremlin to Mark 3, aka Tier 3, you get an extra charge, so you get 2 charge. That's even better. And let's do a spark. Oh boy, this tier is, well, I'll be simple. Let's not waste too much time. These 2 abilities are utter garbage. Intimidate, let's do it first. When the spark gets shot at, there's a chance that seems to be non-existent that the target that shot it panic and their next turn will be wasted. The problem is you don't want to get shot at first and foremost. If you do, you don't want to let another turn to you at the alien, because at that point you fucked up so hard that, yeah, it's not. That's not the. If you fuck up this hard, intimidate is not the kind of ability that you need to help you with that. And it seems to just never work anyway. The chances are abysmal for an effect that is terrible. So I'll just put in like F tier. I feel like it just never do anything. Wrecking Ball, kind of similarly, the effect is pretty trash. And actually, little note, if you are, so basically Wrecking Ball, when you overdrive, now you can run into cover to break them. Problem with Wrecking Ball is that if you're concealed at the start of a mission, like your spark is concealed, and you activate overdrive and then have Wrecking Ball active and you run into something, it will not tell you, but it will actually break your concealment. So, and I think the idea that Dev had with Wrecking Ball is that you can strike by rushing into an enemy and breaking their cover while you're punching them, and then you use Nova, a spark ability to get later, to just get even more damage in. But it's just terrible. The problem with the spark with this tier is they get 2 absolute garbage abilities, so it's like you're forced to pick one of them. So both are absolutely terrible. So yeah, it's just the most garbage tier that a class can get. There's maybe another one that come in contention, but yeah, this is just god awful. I don't want to spend more time talking about these. They just make me want to vomit. It's so trash. Let's go for the Reaper. Reaper is, well, one of these is great. The others are trash. Needle, I don't think much of it. I think it's actually pretty garbage. I actually put it next to suppression. Needle, when the Reaper takes a shot from Shadow, they bypass 2 armor. The problem is that the Reaper... So, if an enemy has armor, that is because you haven't damaged it yet. And the Reaper is a cleanup class, not a sort of like initiating damage like a Grenadier. And you want your Reaper to wait until something is in lethal range to shoot. Because of Little Silent Killer, which I should have probably talked about first, but whatever. I'll do it after. Well, I guess I can do it now. Silent Killer is definitely S tier. I'll put it next to Remote Start for now. Silent Killer, when you shoot... So Silent Killer is really poorly explained by the game. So normally when you're in Shadow and you take a shot, you have 50% chance to reveal yourself. If you reveal yourself, you reveal and that hand's there. If you're not, your subsequent chance of being revealed are going to increase to, I think, 80, and then it's 100. The thing is, Silent Killer, what it says, I think it's something along the line of when you take a shot from Shadow and the shot is lethal, the chances does not increase. So how it works is that normally the way the game calculate that is that you actually start at 0, and when you take the first shot, it then increases it to 50. So what that means is, with Silent Killer, if you get a lethal kill from Shadow, and your chance didn't increase, you can't go out of Shadow as long as you kill stuff. So you now have the best recon class in the game that can remote start pods for basically no downside, and also help clean up while retaining its Shadow. It's just, it's OP. Like, it allows the Reaper, that, like I said, the best recon scouting class in the game, to also do damage. Like, the Ranger can't do that, so it has to be an S tier. It's just game changer. And yeah, and that's why Needle is bad, because you want to shoot stuff that are damaged already, because you'll activate Blood Trail. Blood Trail. And usually at that point, those targets won't have armor anyway, so I feel like that is a pretty poor ability. So is Distraction. Probably also... What do you hear? Distraction when you're not in Shadow and a Claymore explode. One of your Claymore explode. You get a back in Shadow. You think it's good, but the problem is that you're almost never gonna lose Shadow if you use the Reaper correctly. The game basically have to cheat to spot you when you're in Shadow, and the game certainly does. In case you don't know, if you have a unit in concealment, the game will purposely run pods in the direction of the conceal unit to force a fight, basically, because otherwise, like, you could just sit in concealment forever. So yeah. But even then, like, the Shadow range is like so small that even then I find it hard to be revealed. So I find Distraction value to be pretty garbage. It's yeah, probably around Aftershock. And now, well, yeah, that's basically what I think of Distraction. Whiplash. I think Whiplash can be compared to Lightning Hand, but it basically is worse in almost every single way, because it only does 6 damage, or 12 if it's on a robotic enemy. But not even every robotic enemy counts for Whiplash, which is pretty dumb. Like, Spectres are not affected, Codexes are not affected. So yeah, and it's a single charge ability, and like a cooldown ability like Lightning Hand, so it has to be lower. I'll put it in a C tier. But if you manage to get it early, and you're still fighting regular mechs, sort of white one, you can actually one-shot them with Whiplash. That's actually cool. But yeah, it would be much better if it was a cooldown ability instead of a instead of a one single charge ability for the mission. Full throttle. For every kill you've made in a turn, you gain +2 mobility up until the end of the turn. So if you get 1 kill, you get +2 mobility. If you get 2 kills, you get +4, etc. Problem with full throttle is that you have to use your action in the first place to get kills, right? Unless you're using ability like Whiplash, but yeah, that's like a single charge per mission. And so let's say you kill 1 enemy and you still have 1 action, like you shot something with your bullpup. 2 mobility won't make a difference. Like, it's just not enough. And full throttle only really makes a difference when you're like fighting the Lost, and you kill a bunch, get that to proc a lot. But like effectively, this is like actually it does nothing. Its effect is just like if you kill 2 people, you've shot twice and like you can't even move anymore. It's like it's a really poorly designed ability. It effectively, I think it just effectively does nothing, so I'll put it there. It's a pretty garbage ability. Deflect and channel. Okay. Deflect. If you have focus, the Templar has a chance when they get shot at to completely negate the damage, and I think it has to be a range attack. Deflect is nice. It's a passive that makes the Templar tankier. The problem with deflect is it's a bit unreliable, and I think like if you have parry and deflect, parry will always proc first, and then if you get shot more, deflect will have a chance to roll, which is kind of a weird problem for deflect to have. But then yeah, you can stack both if like you're gonna take a lot of shot. But I think it's like what deflect does, you're usually going to do it with parry, so and like deflect chances are like, it's like a 50% chance to work, so it's not odds I like. I'll put you in C tier. I think it's too unreliable, and yeah, it's really a part of reliability that you have with parry, you don't with deflect, because you can play around with how parry works. Deflect is just like you're coin flipping basically, and you shouldn't be getting in a situation where like you're taking like parry, which takes a shot, and then you left like 2 enemy alive, so you're taking like 2 shots. Like deflect could help, but it could help. It's not guaranteed. Channel on the other end is amazing. So now when anybody gets a kill, there's a chance, I don't recall the chance, I think it's like 20 or 30% chance, something like that, to drop a focus that the Templar can go get, which obviously filled their focus meter. It's really great. What did I say? It really allows the Templar to use more their other ability, like their amplify. Like it really what allows the amplify and other ability we'll talk about a bit later to be used much more actively, or like frequently, I should say. Channel is great, yeah. Definitely I would put in the A tier. Not much to say about it other than the fact like, yeah, it really allows the Templar to really use, and I think that's like one of the best part about the Templar is really like these unique ability like amplify, or as we'll talk about later, invert is also great. Even ghost. This really allows you to like, yeah, really use them more, because otherwise you use these ability, you're out of focus, and you have to kill stuff again to get it. So yeah, no, this is a great ability. I'll put you around here. Yeah, channel is great. It is great, and I think now we're up to captain. Oh, we're getting there. Placeable and Bladestorm. Oh, that's a sexy tier for the ranger. A tier I like a lot. And I'll do Bladestorm because it's definitely the ability that people talk. One of the ability people talk a lot when they talk about the Ranger, which is also an ability that the Templar can get. So I will actually rank Bladestorm based on that as well. So I guess we'll talk about Rangers without the katana, Rangers with the katana, and I guess Templar. So Rangers. So basically, what does Bladestorm do? When an enemy get into melee range, you get to proc a free melee attack. And thing to note also with Bladestorm, if you hand your turn next to an enemy and let's say they don't even move but they just shoot, you'll like most of enemy action will actually trigger Bladestorm. The fun thing is that let's say you hand your turn next to, I don't know, a mech and they shoot you, Bladestorm actually procs before they shoot, so if you kill it with the attack, they don't get to attack you. So yeah, Bladestorm really increased the overall damage of the Ranger by a significant amount, and it doesn't cost an action, doesn't have a cooldown. That's the cool part about it. So now let's talk actually on different type of like equipment and classes, how it actually how effective it is. Bladestorm on Rangers that don't have the katana, I would say it's actually overrated. It's not that great because it's too unreliable. Because Bladestorm actually takes a Overwatch penalty when you swing your sword, and like the sword is not the most accurate thing, so you will see it miss a lot. And I would say with without the, I think it sits like without the katana, it would be in a C tier. If now we're talking, which I would say like Templar with Bladestorm. Templars with Bladestorms are amazing. Like now we're looking at like S tier territory. It's like a lot of free extra damage on a class that can't miss. So, and if your Templar gets free kill potentially, it also mean they can potentially increase their focus quicker. So that's actually good. And same thing for Rangers with the katana, and assuming Blade Master as well. Bladestorm then is an S tier ability. Since in most cases, so the way I treat Bladestorm basically, I usually will wait until I get the katana to spec into it, and so like before I have the katana, I'll spec into Implaceable. I'll talk about it after and how amazing it is. But then once I have the katana, I actually spec in both basically for my Ranger. Because Bladestorm actually synergizes very well with Implaceable. So, yeah. If I did put Dead From Above in S tier, I have to use the same logic here. This freaking playlist. If I don't go by the average, I should probably just go by the average. You know what? I think I might actually change this here. I feel like, yeah, I should probably just go by the average. Should I? That's the thing I hate with rating these ability. It's like they power spike so much just based on like what weapon you're using or on which class they are on. Yeah, I'm actually gonna drop Bladestorm here. Because Bladestorm, yeah, you'll mostly just have the katana like from the late game and off onward. Because by itself, it definitely is worse than Implaceable. It probably gets, I don't even know if I would say it's better when you have the katana, because you still need Implaceable to really make it work. And Dead From Above, I will drop. Yeah, I did say. Put it here. If we do the average of but yeah, I mean Bladestorm when you have the katana or a Templar is amazing. It allows to like really dish out a lot of damage. Like you can go, like I said earlier, you can slash a Archon and then have Bladestorm kill it if you know it's safe. Implaceable, I'll put in the A tier. I will... Nah, Implacable is amazing. It's definitely one of the best A tier ability. I would say the only one here that I would say is better is auto-targeting. Implacable when used, like, it opened up so much strategy with the, or like, place potential with the Ranger. Because it's synergized with Bladestorm, it's synergized later with Untouchable. And it allows so many, and it's synergized also with Bonds. So I guess Bladestorm, like, you can kill something and then move to another target to set up a future Bladestorm. If you kill something, you can put your Ranger in a, like, to purposely get hit when they have Untouchable. Well, I'll talk about it when we get there. If you're bonded with someone else, you can kill something, move to another target, being fed a bond, and shoot again with your shotgun. Potentially, and likely kill 2 targets in 1 turn. So yeah, Implacable is just amazing. It really just adds more mobility to a class that is thirsty for mobility. So yeah, absolutely amazing. Next, we are looking at Volatile Mix and Chain Shot for the Grenadier. Volatile Mix, honestly, it's kind of shit. I was about to say it's C tier, but I look at these ability and I would say they're all better. It actually plays like high D. It's really shit. By the time you get it, the 2 extra damage is just too little. And it doesn't have extra range. It's because grenades, you mostly use them for the card removal, not the damage they do. So I might be wrong, but I feel like it doesn't really reach new breakpoint in terms of like maybe needing less shot to kill. In the early game, if you get in like on a class like as your first ability, you can then chuck grenade to one-shot trooper, but yeah, you would need the training center for that anyway, unless you get in on Skirmisher. But yeah, Volatile Mix value is very, very poor, especially compared to Chain Shot, that is an amazing ability. Easy S tier. And here's why. Chain Shot is basically your main ability for most of the playthrough that you'll use to deal with heavy, like high health robotic unit like Sectopod, Heavy Mech, Andromedon. Because that's usually the type of target you want your Grenadier to be shooting at, because they can shred. And neat little thing, which ability like Chain Shot and Rapid Fire you can get on later through your training center, is that since you're shooting twice, you trigger Shredder twice, so you can basically fully shred a Sectopod with both Chain Shot and Shredder. And Chain Shot, basically, I should have mentioned what it does just in case. You shoot, you take a first shot. If it actually hits, you shoot again. If it miss, you don't shoot again. Basically like Rapid Fire, with the difference that it has 1 turn shorter cooldown. And like I said, like Grenadier should, I feel like they usually have priority when it comes down to aim improvement, so PCSs are carved up. So to basically mitigate this ability, because yeah, Sectopod can be deadly. You don't want them to shoot like 2-3 times, so that's why you kill them with ability like Chain Shot. And like, yeah, it's just like a big damage being able to shoot twice in 1 turn. It's just huge. Synergized with Blue Screen, which Grenadiers love because of Chain Shot and Shredder, because of the nature of the target they're shooting. Yeah, not much to say there. It's just amazing. Now for Kill Zone and Face Off, I suppose. Kill Zone, Kill Zone, Kill Zone. I like Kill Zone. It is, I guess, what you would call a setup ability, but when used correctly, it's cool. I like it. I would say B tier for sure. Ace could be made for A tier, but I think it requires some setup, and sometimes the thing I hate with, so basically you're setting up a cone, and for every time an enemy takes an action within the cone, you take a Overwatch shot basically. Killzone problem is that on... Well, first, sometimes the enemy just move around the cone so you don't get to shoot, which is so obnoxious. The second problem is that it's a Sharpshooter ability, a class that gets the Dark Lance. And the Dark Lance is amazing, but it comes with one problem, and it is the mag size. If you're using that sniper, your Killzone can only shoot up to 3 times per turn, which is... For an ability like Killzone, it's not, like, it kind of is detrimental. So, yeah, I think Killzone is actually better when you get it on a Specialist. If you get it on Specialist, it's actually better, because they get a weapon, the Disruptor Rifle, I think it's called. I can get up to 8 ammo, if you have Insider Knowledge. But, yeah, I mean, it's good to set up, let's say you're in Concealment, you're about to open up, you can set up Killzone, then... I don't know, you have your Shadow Strike Ranger that take the first shot, and then people with Killzone, they just shoot everything else, not move when they scatter. So yeah, Killzone is action economy, so yeah, that's good. You just have to set it up correctly, which most people don't, but when you do, it's good. Next would be Face Off. Face Off is good. Face Off is good. When you have a bunch of like low health target, you just shoot them with a pistol, and I would probably say it's better in Killzone on average. I think Killzone has like a higher potential, but Face Off on average feels like, I don't know. It's not. I'm not much into gunslinging, but I feel like Face Off. Yeah, you can make it work and kill a lot of it. Like basically, if you kill more than one person, has paid off for itself, or even then, if like the other shot, if let's say you just kill one person and the other shot connects, it might make the difference in setting up a kill that you might not get otherwise. So, because yeah, basically Face Off, you shoot every target in your line of sight with your pistol. So yeah, now Face Off is it's cool. I respect it. Now we are into Specialists, covering fire and threat assessment. Okay, well, you're terrible. You have literally the same problem as rapid fire, being that what covering fire does is now you can shoot with your Overwatch, not just on target on enemy movement, but also like when they do action like shooting. So it has the same problem as return fire, that if you shoot an enemy behind cover, you have to deal with the cover defense that the enemy will have, so your chance of missing are getting pretty high. So yeah, pretty dog shit ability. On the other hand, where is it? Threat assessment is great, especially with an ability we'll talk about pretty soon called Guardian. It allows for pretty nice combo setup. You will go... I would say like it's kind of a setup ability, so I would put you with Implaceable. Basically, now your 8 protocol, which I've put by the way here, now also give an Overwatch shot to the person you're giving it to, but now your 8 protocol has an extra turn cooldown, so instead of being 2, it's 3. So threat assessment by itself is not that amazing, but the existence of another ability, Guardian, is really what makes it great. Yeah, we'll get to that when I get to Guardian. Now let's do a Spark, Repair, and Bombard. Bombard gives the Spark I think it's a single-use explosive. It can't shred, but it breaks cover. The range is really good. The AoE size is about a regular Grenadier grenade. It's alright. Thing is, it's just fairly simple of an ability, so I don't have much. It's just like kind of like giving an extra explosive to your Spark, so it's alright. The other ability being Repair. I'll probably put next to it actually. Allows the spark to repair itself or another spark. I think you get 2 charge per mission, and repair is a single action, much like Medical Protocol. The reason why it is not here, unlike Medical Protocol, is simply because you can only heal spark. If it allowed to heal anybody, I'll put it here for sure. The cool thing with repair though is the spark is unique in that they don't have wills, so they don't get tired. But they also can go back on mission if they're wounded. And repair really allows you to send like damage spark back in mission. Like you send them back, and like among your first few turns you just use repair to heal. And then it's like if your spark was not damaged. That's really what makes it pretty cool. But yeah. Other than that, I mean, it also allowed the spark to be more tanky by if they happen to tank shot, at least they can tank shot for longer by being able to heal themselves. So yeah, repair is nice. Now for Soul Harvest and Stain. I don't find these ability that great. These are definitely not game-changing. Reaper's ability. I'll put Soul Harvest in. So Soul Harvest, every time you get a kill, you gain increased crit chance up to 20. The Soul Harvest, like if you set it up correctly with like Talon and a laser sight, can lead to the Reaper being able to have guaranteed crit chance, much like a Ranger on a flankable unit. But usually I feel like, I don't know, at least the way when I use Reaper, I don't care much about the crit. They're just there to like clean up a low health target. But I guess if you have higher crit chance, you can shoot stuff that have more health. I would say it's between a low B or a C. It's because the problem with Soul Harvest is that, yeah, you want like those other gears I mentioned, but unless you're not bringing a Ranger, Talon round should always be a priority on Ranger. They're by far the best class using it. And yeah, I'll put you in. I'll put you in CT. I'll put you at round 0. And yeah, and then if you don't bring a Ranger, which I mean obviously is possible, you still have to kill like 4 targets for it to have like full effect. So yeah, there's a lot of setup with it. For an effect that, while it is good, is by the time you get 4 kill, you won't really get to use much of its value, so yeah. Sting allows the Reaper to take a shot from concealment without having a chance to break concealment. It's alright. I don't think much of this ability as well. I'll probably just put C tier. It's okay, but like if I shoot someone with the Reaper from concealment, it is to get to clean up a kill, not to. They're not like a class that is there to like set up kill for the others, so I just don't find Sting that. But I guess if you do, I guess I don't know. It's just an ability I don't bother with. Yeah. Skirmisher. Ooh, finally an excellent Skirmisher ability. Combat Presence. This ability is amazing. S tier. I'll actually put you above Silent Killer. Am I gonna do that? Yes. Or maybe no. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Basically, Combat Presence is literally just like the teamwork ability from Bonded Soldier that you can give to, well, anybody that you see that is in your line of sight every 3 turns, I think. I think that's the cooldown. It might seem like whatever, but you have to see Combat Presence as a profit ability. Would you rather have your Skirmisher takes a shot at potentially do, I don't know, like 7 damage or so? Or give an action to, let's say, a Ranger that can shoot the same target that is behind cover that the Ranger could flank for potentially, like, assuming they have good, like, depending on their gear, obviously, for like big critical damage. that's how you should be looking at combat presence. And there's like this, as long as you're creative with it, you can do so many plays, and it allows the skirmishers to have value when they start to sort of like fall off, and because they don't scale well. I think if it wasn't for combat presence in the late game, skirmisher would just be completely almost irrelevant. That and a blue screen, obviously, since they can shoot twice, but yeah. Combat presence is amazing. As long as you set it up, you use it correctly, you can really profit a lot from it. Retribution is... So earlier I said that Bladestorm on the... So Retribution is literally Bladestorm, but on Skirmisher. Problem with the Skirmishers, they don't get access to the Katana, which is a guaranteed hit, basically no matter what. They don't get access to Blade Master, which allows to have high reach plus 10 aim, basically. So the hit chance of Retribution will be utter garbage, and you usually won't feed them aim PCS or covered action because they don't scale well anyway, and those are better used on other class like Grenadier, Sharpshooter, Specialist. So this thing will miss a whole fucking lot. It will miss like so much. I actually will put this shit in D tier. It's so overrated. Sure, it is free action, but it's free action that for most of the time do nothing. So I don't think much of it. It's too unreliable to bank on it. And worse, the Dripjack damage is just not as good as like the sword or a Templar. So yeah, a pretty ability, too unreliable for me. I don't like it. Like, I'll pick it if I have like extra AP and I have nothing else to pick, but yeah, it's just way too unreliable. And the other ability they get at Captain is Interrupt. I have heard there has been report that this ability actually is bugged. And apparently it can potentially lead to giving the alien like an extra turn immediately when it procs or whatever. So they would have back-to-back turn. I have not experienced it, but I'm bound to believe in it. And even if it was not true, this ability would still be trash. So I'll put it in F tier. Because yeah, wow, the ability to when you activate it when it's the enemy turn, when an enemy takes an action, you can then take an action. It's like it really doesn't help. It's terrible. It's yeah. Anyway, reflect and invert. Reflect is an upgrade to deflect, so now when you deflect, you have a chance to reflect the damage back at the enemy. They all have, I think, individual rolls, so you have to have the deflect roll succeed and then the reflect roll succeed. I really think that's like shit. Way too unreliable. I have never seen this thing work. So yeah, go down. Yeah, go down here. I really, yeah. I just basically what I said about deflect, but now it just reflect damage. And I mean, how much damage are you gonna reflect? And it's only like range attack, so yeah. And Vert on the other end is amazing. I really like this. I'll put it about amplify level. So you can use a focus to swap position with an enemy. Like I mentioned before when I was talking about demolition, there's some cover in this game that are outright indestructible. And if an enemy is behind that cover, your real only efficient way to deal with it are either to flank it with a ranger, or to basically use this ability to just swap place with the enemy and then put them like ideally out in the open. So yeah, if you're creative with invert, you can really do some nice play. But it It's not an ability you'll use often, but when you do it, like, it really will make a big impact. So yeah, no, it's a cool ability. And it's an ability you get to use more often when you have channel. Not much to say about it, but other than maybe, yeah, I guess I should mention that you can actually, when you do the Avenger Defense mission with your turret, you can actually, wait, no, that's, no, wait, I'm mixing up with this one, sorry. A bit of a, I got a bit ahead of myself. But the other thing I was about to say too, though, that is actually about invert, is on the Stronghold chamber, Stronghold Chosen Chamber, there's yet again a lot of undestructible cover, especially on the edge, like the pillar of the wall. Especially if you're fighting like the assassin, her room doesn't, like, she tends to use those as cover, so that's one way you can actually get her out of those positions, is you invert your position with hers, and now she's exposed and you can just destroy her. Also is the case with the other chosen, but yeah, especially the assassin, I feel like she tends to love those positions. So if you bring a Templar in Stronghold, chosen Stronghold, which is a very good thing to do, because amplify, you can also use invert to help deny when they go to these positions. So yeah, good ability. Are we moving to? Oh wait, no, we have deep focus. Deep focus is basically an essential for, I'll probably put it S tier for a Templar. Gives you a third focus slot, which means because for each focus you have, your Ren does an extra damage. You get extra dodge and mobility. That just makes things, just makes your Templar better. It also makes, yeah, some later ability much more stronger, like Ionic Storm. So yeah, no, it's basically essential for Templar to be functional, I would say. It's just a no-brainer. It's although it is an essential, but is it really that good? Is it really good as these? Maybe I'm. That's such a good thing, because it's like 1 damage, 1 mobility, and some dodge. And it makes some of these abilities you don't use often, but that sometimes you do. It's maybe more of an A ability. I feel like putting it at S is a bit of a stretch. Yeah. But it is a really good ability. It's like up there. Yeah. Deep focus. But I think if someone said it was like S tier, I would not disagree. I think it's definitely in that range. Now for Corporal, no, Corporal, what am I saying? Why did I say Corporal? Major ability, sorry. Let's do Ranger, Deep Cover versus Untouchable. Oh boy. Deep Cover. Well, ironically, I feel like Deep Cover have more impact than these. Like if it get to work, if it get to activate, and you're in a gunfight, like Hunkering Down is actually a good ability if you. But it's like your Ranger should always be shooting, so actually you're gonna go here. So basically, when your Ranger doesn't attack at the end of your turn, you get it basically goes on Hunker Down for free. Really terrible, because Rangers, they're basically a top tier damage dealer, so you always want them to be doing damage. I think the way they designed Deep Cover was like, because it's on the scouting tree, I think it was like you're scouting with your Ranger, and let's say you use your second movement to go ahead, and then, like, I don't know, you fuck up and you get seen and reveal. At least at the end of your turn you get Hunker Down, and like your chance of survival are increased. But like, yeah, your Ranger usually don't get to stay in conceal for super long, because usually they're too useful in actual fight, so you usually will break it fairly quickly anyway. So, and Untouchable is just a mile better. If I put parry here, Untouchable has to be here as well, because it almost does the same thing. It just has a more So untouchable is like parry. So like the first attack done to you after you get a kill is automatically miss and do no damage, no matter if it's like a shot or an explosive or whatever. With the difference being to trigger it, you have to get a kill, not just attack someone. So a bit harder to trigger, but at the same time, it's a ranger ability, a class that get basically kill every turn by the time you're a major. So yeah, just an amazing ability for survivability and negating enemy action, like parry. And if you set up with implaceable, you purposely put your ranger to bait an attack, and then the AI is stupid, will shoot the ranger. You take no damage, and yeah, really great. Basically just a ranger version of parry. It can make explosion miss indeed. Actually, there's even more to untouchable actually. Not just explosion. Untouchable actually counters. So if a codex Psy bomb on a ranger that have untouchable, their gun won't be disabled. So untouchable counters more stuff than you'd think. So yeah, it counters like being shot at, being meleeed at, taking like a micro missile from a heavy mech, a Psy bomb. Absolutely amazing. I really love this ability. You never have enough people with this. Let's be real. Now for we're getting down to we're shorting the list of ability to list. Well, I guess let's keep the great ability rolling because Salvo is great as well. Salvo, I would put probably here. Yeah, Salvo would definitely put an S tier. So basically, when you let me just playlist, please stop this. All right. So when you shoot a grenade or an heavy weapon, it now only costs one action. So I'm saying you're a Grenadier that have a grenade launcher and in late game probably a warsuit with a powered heavy weapon equipped, which is a very good thing to do because of this ability. You can do really disgusting stuff, which I'll discuss when I talk about saturation fire, but for now, yeah, being able to do basically both job of the Grenadier, which is like destroying cover, but also like destroying like robots with Shredder and Chain Shot, is huge action economy here. So yeah, Salvo is like big value. And it's not something you use every turn, right? Because eventually you're going to be out of explosive, but those turns you get to proc Salvo, it's like it makes a massive difference. So being able to like chuck a grenade and then like yeah, shred a sectopod or something. It's basically turning your Grenadier into two Grenadier. It's just amazing. Yeah, Salvo is great, especially compared to Hell of Blood that I find to be. I get the idea. So basically, Hell of Blood, you're using 3 ammo to get a 100% hit chance shot. Problem with Hell of Blood is that, well, Grenadiers are so amazing that you want to feed them aim anyway. So you should basically never need this ability. And it can't crit too. Hell of Bullet, I would say it's better than these for sure. Hell of Bullet is nice if like, a case I like it is I'll put you here. Hell of Bullet is nice if like you're in the late game and the game gives you a as a reward a Grenadier that is like major or above, and you haven't fed them aim or PCSs because they're brand new in your roster, and you still want them to sometimes take difficult shots, so you can actually give them Hell of Bullet for those guys specifically. But usually when I get to major, I always pick Salvo because yeah, my Grenadiers, when I get to that point, I'll have given them aim perception PCS and aim improvement covered action. So yeah, Hell of Bullet, like it's kind of like yeah, if you were to not give those to Grenadier, then it would be better. But yeah, it's I feel like it's not counterintuitive, but it's like it goes against like how like you should effectively play Grenadier. So yeah, kind of weird. Because I mean, when you use it on like I said, Grenadier that don't have those being fed to them, yeah, I mean it is pretty good. Guaranteed you can shred Gatekeeper when your aim is shit. So yeah. Next on the list, Steady Hand and Aim. Steady Hand is actually great. It's kind of a boring ability for a major ability because all it does is like if you haven't moved, you gain +10 aim and crit chance. But that's on a class that always is thirsty for aim. I would say major is the rank where like Sharpshooter no longer have aim issue. And it's partly because of this ability. Yeah, Steady Aim is great actually. For like a passive that, and the cool thing is like usually, yeah, especially if you're a major, you're gonna want your Sharpshooter to have spider suits or raid suit, or the ugly Viper King suit, so that they have a grapple. And when you grapple, you don't break this ability. You still retain the bonus. If like you didn't move and then you just grapple to another spot, you're still gonna keep Steady Hand. So Steady Hand, I think it's like an ability that's hard to measure because it's not like a flashy ability, but it is really, really good. I would say it definitely makes a bigger difference than basically, dude, putting this, am I wrong about squats? I kind of start to feel wrong too for this to be in B tier. Aw, Steady Hand is definitely between B and A. Because it is a late game ability. It has a similar impact as Blade Master when you Blade Storm. The crit chance is not so... It doesn't have the hugest impact, but I don't even know if that's a word, but the biggest impact. But snipers, they usually will start at 40% chance crit, at least when it's squats. I don't recall if it changed when you're within. Then you can buy what it's called, Deadshot here, the GTS tactics that give them just a flat out 10%. And then Steady Hand would give you an extra 10, so you go to 60% chance to crit something that is flanked. Like, you're not a class that like relies on critical like a ranger, but it's always nice to have those extra odds. B or A? I would say it does make it. I would put it like low A. I think it makes more of an impact than Blade Master does, because it's on a class that is like so thirsty for aim. Aim on the other end, absolute garbage. I think you're basically sitting next to deep cover. So now when you anchor down on your next turn, your first shot and only your first shot will gain +20 aim. It is terrible. There's like a weird combo you can do with this and Death from Above, where like, well, at least until you get a Dark Lens, you get a kill with your regular sniper, get your Death from Above action, and you can just anchor down to like increase your aim for the next turn. But it's like such a niche garbage combo that, yeah, nah, this ability is just, it doesn't do nothing. So it can be F, but it's like, nah, it's just terrible. It is worse than these for sure. Way worse. Ever Vigilance and Guardian. Well, I didn't mention Guardian, so I'll do Guardian first. The Guardian is simply amazing. I was about to put Guardian A, but the more I think about it, the more I would say your ass. It's just so good. Yeah, now you have to be ass, you're just too good. Guardian is simply amazing. I think you're on the lower hand of ass though. You're about like, you can be friend with Salvo and Perry. Yeah, I like you there. So Guardian, when you Overwatch, Every successful shot have a 50% chance to allow you to shoot again. Then, so what that means is you go on Overwatch, you shoot something, you hit, and basically specialists are the best Overwatch class in the game. You hit something, which late game, when you're a major, usually your Overwatch will almost always hit. 50, let's assume it works. You get a second shot. That second shot can proc Guardian again to a third shot. The third shot can proc Guardian again to a fourth shot. And I did mention earlier that synergize with threat assessment because what the specialist can do, you can set it up to, because your 8 protocol is a single action, you can 8 protocol threat assessment yourself, giving yourself an Overwatch shot. Then you still have an action, so you can't go on Overwatch. So you can actually use that to like open up on pods, like you do that with your specialist, and then let's say your ranger open up fire, and then your specialist is gonna go crazy, and most pods are not gonna survive this amount of Overwatch because each instance of Overwatch, like the one from threat assessment and your regular Overwatch, are gonna both have a chance to trigger Guardian. So at worst, you're still getting 2 shot. But on average, you should get at least 3. And it can quickly snowball to like 4, 5, 6. It's really disgusting. Just requires a bit of setup, but I think it's easier to set up than Killzone. And on average, it usually pay off more. Especially if you give a repeater to a specialist. Yeah, this combo is really the combo that really make invalid the statement that often bad player makes, that specialists are bad at or they can't alpha strike, which is simply incorrect. They just need they just require a bit of promotion, but that is just simply incorrect. And like Guardian threat assessment is really the combo that invalidate that statement. In the late game, like specialists are a great damage dealer. Like as long as you use them correctly and you don't suffer a skill issue, yeah, I mean this combo is just disgusting. It absolutely like can single-handedly wipe pod by itself. It's actually ridiculous. I fucking love it. Now that leaves me to almost forgot Ever Vigilant. It certainly is not Guardian level. I have a soft little appreciation for Ever Vigilant. It's kind of a not sexy ability, but I mean it's nice. I think it's a low B. So basically, when you on a turn your specialist only moves, at the end of the turn they will be given an Overwatch, which if you pick both Ever Vigilant and Guardian, that means you get more chance to trigger Guardian. The thing I like with Ever Vigilant though is the fact that, at least with personally how I play, I tend to have my I feel like, especially because I tend to feed a lot of mobility to mobility to my ranger, and my other classes like Grenadier and Specialist especially, they tend to struggle to catch up with the ranger, and this ability can help with that. So that's usually why I like it. I lost you when I said that's not for a skill issue. Well, that's my bad. But I mean, I was not targeted, but I've seen so many people since I've been playing this game that says like specialists, they can't do damage or they're terrible at alpha striking. And when you mention the Guardian threat assessment combo, they're either A, they don't even know what you're talking about, or B, they'll always say that's like, oh, it's too unreliable, or they'll find excuses when no, it's just simply amazing. It requires setup, but it's not crazy setup. It's as long as you position the specialist properly and play them correctly, it's not hard to do. And let's do Channeling Field and Hunter Protocol. Channeling Field I would put in E tier. Absolutely garbage ability. Basically, when the spark gets shot at, they absorb the shot, and on their subsequent, on the next turn, I don't know if it's like for one shot or all your shot are gonna do an extra damage. First, like I've mentioned a few times now, you don't want to be taking damage. And if you do, this ability doesn't really help because, sure, I guess it can help the spark damage, but, well, then the other ability helps it way more, first of all. But like 1 damage per shot you take, it's like such a bad trade-off. It's like, you don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to take like a, I don't know, like a sectopod that crit you for 14 just to do 1 extra damage. Terrible ability. Hunter Protocol, though, is great. When the Spark reveal a pod, you have a 32% chance per target to get a free reaction shot. Kind of works similar to Guardian, but it's like lower ceiling, so I think because of that, it can't be higher than 8 here, but it is certainly an 8 here ability. It's really good. I'll put you there. Yeah. So on average, like a pod has 3 enemies, so that means on average you'll get a free extra shot as long as the Spark sees the pod when it reveals. So, like I said, more shot is good. And usually the Spark is a class that can easily access high ground because they have these like thrusters that allow them to get to high ground for free. That means their Overwatch are usually pretty accurate, so, and they can shred like Grenadier. So yeah, no, Hunter Protocol is the last ability I would say you, for the most part, seek to get on a Spark. Minus maybe 1 more, but yeah. Hunter Protocol is good. Now for Reapers. Banish and Highland. I'll do Highland first, since we've talked about the Claymore already. Gives you an extra charge of the Claymore, making these little thing just more deadly. I'll just put you with here with Shrapnel and Claymore. Not much to say, you just get an extra charge of an amazing utility, so what to dislike here? It is good. Especially in the late game where there's usually more pod, and it allows you to use these Claymore on more occasion, so yeah. I think it's like kind of like well timed because Major is like, yeah, when your Reapers start, you're gonna usually more frequently see map with like 5 pod or so yeah. Banish, probably one of the most like when I think of Banish, I think about like YouTube short clips, basically. You know, these shorts that people do now, these days in 2024. Banish is really an ability that is prone to make you make a clip like that. So what does Banish do? With a 15 aim penalty, like chain shot or rapid fire, you reveal yourself if you're in the shadow, and you unload your entire clip at a target. What people have quickly come to found and do with Banish is to combine that with first an extended magazine to shoot more time, second a repeater to have more instance of triggering execute, because yes, every shot of Banish will roll the chance of execute. So if you have a superior extended magazine, a superior repeater, and inside knowledge the skirmisher order, you're looking at 7 shot that can trigger a 20% chance to execute. And if I were to stop here, many would be like, yeah, I mean, that makes it easy S tier, right? I have to disagree. And here's the thing. If you use Banish to kill a target that was not damaged, like a beefy target, like a Sectopod, or I don't know, like an Avatar or something, a Gatekeeper, with everything I just mentioned, I think the chance is like about 60%. To increase that chance of Banish to execute, you'd have to, or to kill, you'd have to shred to with someone else, which requires more action. So for Banish to really pay off more than, let's say, a chain shot or a rapid fire, you need a Banish to single-handedly take out the enemy you're looking to kill. And with 60% chance, it's just too unreliable. it goes up to 100 if like you, let's say, have blue screen on your Reaper and you shred the, let's say, a sectopod beforehand, but then you've used 2 action to do that, which then brings banish to like chain shot and rapid fire level of damage. And yeah, I think because of that, I can't put an S tier. Can I put you? I don't even know if I can put an A tier, honestly. I really don't think highly of banish. It might be of a, it probably is an hot take, but because it's like, it's a 1 charge ability per mission. And then if you really rely on like the repeater, like you need a lot of attachment for it second. And then if you even have everything, it might not even like, your repeater might not get the kill you want. Like you're still like left with a sectopod that's like mostly full health because you didn't shred beforehand. I'll put high B, but it a legit use for repeater. I'd say it's definitely the best use for a repeater is banish, probably along with guard in Overwatch. These are the 2 best case for repeater for sure. But I think it's like, yeah, it's too unreliable. Especially when you can just like if you're going to do like, okay, let's shred the target with like a Grenadier chain shot beforehand, you then don't need banish anyway. It's because the thing is going to be easy to kill if you have like blue screen and the shredder. So, and then like you have to go out of freaking conceal to do shadow to do it. So like if you go on a stronghold, 1 charge is just not enough. If you go on the foul mission, you only have 1 charge for like 3 avatar and a bunch of sectopod and gatekeeper. I don't know, I'm not I really don't like the fact like you need so much and like the pay, like it's still not like high enough chance to execute. I'm not a fan. I definitely think like Highland is better on average. Because yeah, banish is flashy, but it's not reliable. It's not a good way to put it. Now for, oh boy, these ability downs are just god awful. Since I've done rat, let's do Reckoning first. Reckoning is basically the slash version of Skirmisher, except it has a 5-turn cooldown, and no matter the distance you cross with the slash, it only costs 1 action. So I still think overall it is a worse, an average worse than slash, because why the fuck does it have 5-turn cooldown? And the worst part though is the fact it basically does rat job, but on a higher rank ability. So I mean, it's either I put it on the same rank as rad because it basically does the same thing, or lower because you get it on a higher rank. I'll just put it, I'll put you with rad. But Reckoning I really don't like, because if I'm gonna pick rad, then I think it's like every 5 turn you get to use rat. It's more than enough. Like you're never gonna need like more. You won't want to use that often. So yeah. Waylay, basically when you Overwatch with a skirmisher, you take as many shot as you have action left. I don't think that's much of a great ability. Like, skirmishers are kind of terrible at overwatching because of the nature of their gun. They would have to be at point blank to have really good overwatch, although it can be mitigated with the grapple. But yeah, because the problem with Waylay is that to get the full value of it, you have to not move. But the skirmisher is a class that wants to be kind of like a ranger, always like forward, so that they don't suffer too big of a aim penalty. So I feel like every time I pick this ability, I never use it. I feel like it probably has less of an impact than like Whiplash does for real. I'll honestly put you there. I really don't think highly of this. We're definitely to the point where like skirmishers, they just don't get anything good. So yeah, a little spoiler alert for the usability. I did spoil a little bit of what I was about to say about exchange. So let's do now. What I was about to, so exchange, you can swap position with a teammate. What I was about to say earlier is that during the XCOM Avenger defense mission, you can actually swap place with turret if let's say a line of sight is blocked. That's a little neat and niche use for it. Overall though, being able to swap with a teammate I find to be weaker than invert. Significantly weaker, so it really is niche. I probably would just put you next to like demolition. It's not something I feel like you'll often use because what class are you gonna swap place with? A ranger? Ranger they don't struggle with. They're like the most mobile class in the game. A Grenadier, just if they're out of position so they can salvo and shoot. I guess you could. I guess the biggest use I have in mind for exchange is like you swap place with a like a sharpshooter gunslinger that is out of position and they want to use their gunslinging ability. But they have a like you should give a grapple to a sharpshooter anyway, mitigate that issue. But I mean, I guess that's a possibility, so I'll put you there in the C tier. It's not an ability I feel like I would ever bother much using. Arc Wave. Now you're Rend, which by the way is here. When you Rend, you unleash a little like wave attack that it's kind of like a mini AoE that does tiny bit of damage based on your focus level. I think it does like 2 per focus, so like 2, 4, 6. The damage, so it's basically it adds kind of like grenade damage to your Rend. Kind of shitty, honestly. I mean, it is free damage, but it doesn't do more damage to the target you're Rending already anyway. I think that's another, like, not sure what people think about this one, but I don't think it's great. I'll probably just put it in C tier as well. Put you with Whiplash, I guess. Because the damage it does is like just too little, I feel like. But I mean, it can make a difference, I suppose, depending on what you fight. Like, the use cases I could see it being useful is like against Chrysalid, because they stay clump when they reveal. You hit one, you're likely gonna hit them all, and the damage you're gonna do with Arc Wave on each of them can allow the setup to like require less shot to kill the other one. That's like a really niche cases. It's like the only enemy type that really, when you reveal them, they follow each other in a clump. So yeah, enemy when like they reveal and they scatter, they usually split pretty well. So Arc Wave I find to be pretty limited value. Are we now sitting with the only the Colonel ability left, and I guess the GTS too? Cool. Because there's some sexy ability here. So rapid fire, you go join chain shot. Basically everything I said about chain shot applies to rapid fire, except it's just better because even if you miss the first shot, you still get the second one off. Yeah, really allows the ranger to absolutely destroy anything, especially on a flank. Like Chosen, like personally, my strategy for a stronghold Chosen, no matter if I do 6 or 4 men, is always to rush a Colonel Ranger. And it is for this ability because it absolutely destroy and put into the dumpster Chosen. Or basically anything that you can flank. If you can flank something, send a Ranger rapid fire, Colonel Ranger with rapid fire over there, and yeah, that thing is dead. Just too good. Reaper, the ability, not the class, is very similar to an ability we're about to see called Serial. I would say a weaker version of it, which allows you to, for every kill made with your sword, your action are refunded, basically allowing you to chain kill over and over. It's also an ability that Templar can get, and that's great on bow class because usually you're getting it as a Colonel, so and I think also the first hit with Reaper is guaranteed to hit, at least for Ranger, because their sword is not guaranteed to hit depending on the enemy defense. But Yeah, with Reaper though, yeah, you can clean up multiple enemy, which is great, especially if your ranger doesn't roll serial. A few problem with Reaper is that, yeah, since you have to run around and like swinging people, you run the risk of potentially triggering pod, which is not a problem with serial. Second problem, Muton counters you if you try to. If it's like a pot of Muton, this ability is useless. Aside from that, no, it's great. It's definitely weaker than the serial though. But yeah, Reaper when you have the katana is great, and it's usually something you unlock by the time you have the katana, so yeah, it's a pretty well-timed ability in that matter. Now, Grenadier, Saturation Fire, and Rupture. I did tease a bit Saturation Fire when I was talking about Salvo, and here is why. I'll put you next to these because you're great. So there, well, Saturation Fire, basically you shoot a cone, and every enemy within the cone takes a shot, basically. The cool thing with Saturation Fire is you can combo it with Salvo and a Shredstorm Cannon, because the AoE size is the same, I believe, or it's very close. So the idea is obviously you Shredstorm first with Salvo, shred everything in the way, and damage, and then you follow up with Saturation Fire, and that leads for absolute, really obscene amount of damage. Very great AoE damage ability, so naturally you go in S tier, you're really good. Rupture. I like Rupture. It's a bit, I feel like it's kind of niche, but it's like really useful niche, because Rupture is basically the best ruler killer ability. Because what Rupture does, you shoot, you take a shot, and like the shot is guaranteed to crit, but it also applies the Rupture status effect. And what that status effect is every instance of damage that a target is taken they'll take 3 extra damage. So like, let's say you shoot with a rifle, you normally would hit for 9, it goes to 12. If you chuck a grenade, plasma grenade, let's say, hit for 4, they do 7, they take 7 damage. If the target is poisoned, let's say they would normally take 1 damage, now they take 4. So every instance of damage is increased by Rupture. And that's what really makes it great, because it really allows you to absolutely demolish, particularly the Archon King, that is probably the most powerful enemy this game can throw at you. At least that's what I would, I think it's the hardest enemy in the game. So yeah, Rupture is, but the thing with Rupture is that that's basically, for the most part, all you use it on. There's a few other cases it can be useful, but usually those other cases you could just change shot or, yeah. But the fact that it's so amazing against rulers, I'll put you in a very high A. Yeah, right here. I don't think it's S, simply because it's like kind of a niche ability. You don't use it often, like, but yeah, against ruler, absolutely S tier. And now for Serial and Finfire. Well, I did talk about Serial because Reaper. I definitely think it's much better. I'll put you here, I guess. Serial, basically much like Reaper, but instead it's with your primary weapon. When you kill something with Serial, your action are refunded. One thing I didn't mention with Reaper, by the way, every kill you make with your sword, apply a damage penalty of like 1 damage. So subsequent kill, they'll do less and less damage, whereas that's not a problem with Serial. So yeah, but yeah, everything I said about Serial minus the potential to proc a pod, I would say, applies as well. So yeah, Serial is just amazing. Like, any ability allows you to kill like with 1 person multiple enemy in a turn, as long as you're getting the lethal hit. It's amazing. So yeah. Fanfire. Well, Depends on what kind of Fenfire we're talking about. Are we talking regular Fenfire or blue screen Fenfire? Because blue screen Fenfire is S tier for sure. Regular though, I would say A. But it can easily be set up with blue screen, which, I mean, blue screen is the best ammo type, so I'll put you S tier. I'll put you a bit lower though, because of, like, it's only really good on, like, yeah, blue screen susceptible target. You can be here. So basically, yeah, you shoot with your pistol 3 times for 1 action. Oh, it's 1 action if you have a weak draw. Allows you to absolutely destroy Cyclopod or Gatekeeper if you have the Dark Claw and blue screen. So yeah, requires a bit of like stuff for it to work well, but yeah, once you have it, it's absolutely disgusting. Restoration and the Capacitor Discharge. Restoration is a turn-ending action like they call Protocol, but you heal every single soldier in your squad. It is pretty good. I definitely think it's like A tier. But you, I think it's on the, yeah, about here. Restoration is good, but yeah, like, obviously, first of all, you don't want to get into a situation where you want to use Restoration. But if you have to, well, the problem is that it's not a single action. I think that's the thing that prevents it from being above Medical Protocol. And it has a use of its own. So even if you're out of like Medikit, you can still use that. But, yeah. The fact that it's, I know, you can heal your whole party, so that's great, but yeah, it's not a single action, which hurts it. Capacitor Discharge. Little to medium-sized AoE that do damage based on your Gremlin tier. Does extra damage on robots. Unlike Combat Protocol, it doesn't bypass armor. I would say it's low A or... That's pretty A tier. I mean, the fact that it's like, yeah, utility, you can just like, specialists can chuck to like deal damage. I think it's useful. I definitely, yeah, I mean, it's good. Not so sure where to put you. I guess sit with Scanning Protocol. You guys can be friend. Now what should I say about it? It's just like, you know, AoE on a class that don't really have it, so unless you consider Garden chain AoE, but yeah. Nova and Sacrifice. Sacrifice is pretty good actually. If like you get into a situation where like you have to take shot, Sacrifice is actually one of those ability that helps you mitigate it. So basically Sacrifice, which is a spark ability, when they... Now it's a turn-ending action. So basically you make a field around you. And the idea is like you put yourself next to your other soldiers, so like, and every instance of damage that would have targeted someone within the AoE will hurt the spark instead. Does the name. But the spark is given, I think, some defense bonus and like a mega huge armor gain. I think it's like 3 to 5 armor. So it really makes the spark like for a turn really tanky, and like it really soaks up all the damage from everybody else that everybody else would take. So the problem with Sacrifice is that you can't use that on a turn while also shooting unless you use Overdrive. That hurts it a bit. I'll put you with Restoration. Yeah, it's a good ability to tank shot on a turn where you can't kill everything. Not an ability I got to use often, but it actually is good for mitigating damage you can take, much like Medical Protocol or Restoration. And Nova is terrible. Basically, You can use a Nova that does... I don't think it has a cooldown. And enemies around you... I think it does like little damage. And you can use it like over and over to... Not, I don't think on the same turn, but through multiple turn. But like, if you use it more than once, you start to hurt yourself. So like, But you see tier, but yeah, nah. Ability that hurts yourself when you use them, it's so stupid. To me, that's really the thing that kills it. If it just had like, I don't know, like a cooldown on like, didn't hurt yourself, it would be better, but nah, if it hurts yourself. Because it's meant to be paired with like Strike and Wrecking Ball. And Overdrive, you like, Overdrive, strike an enemy, break their cover, and then you just spam Nova and whatever. But it's just like, nah, like ability that hurts yourself, like the hell is that? It's so stupid. Alright. We're getting there. I've never really bothered with this ability, I just don't like it. Because of you damage yourself. Annihilate and Homing Mine. Annihilate is an upgrade to Banish. So when you banish, if your banish kills something, you still have ammo. You're gonna start shooting another target if there's any. I would say Annihilate actually makes Banish quite better. Because it makes the problem I was mentioning earlier about Banish, you know, where like you like the fact like if you don't set it up, your chance is like only 16. Like if you set it up, you negated like the biggest value of Banish. With Annihilate, actually, you now get to you can actually set it up and like you'll still be going after you kill the target you were meant to kill. So potentially you could kill the first target and then with your remaining bullet potentially execute another target. Problem is you don't get to choose, so but still it definitely makes Banish better, so I would actually put it a bit above. It's a nice upgrade in that regard. Homing Mine is an upgrade for the Claymore. I think like all the little Claymore ability, I'll put you next to them. So the Homing Mine, you can, normally the Claymore is a utility you throw at the floor and then shoot it to explode. With Homing Mine, you can actually throw it at an enemy to stick it to them so that when they get shot at, it explodes. And of itself, like Homing Mine is like whatever. But there's like a hidden property with Homing Mine that makes it significantly better. And it's the fact that a target with an Homing Mine on them, if they get hit, if like you shoot at them, no matter your hit chance, you're guaranteed to hit them. So what you can do, you can use Homing Mine to set up ability like Chain Shot or Deadeye to guarantee you get a hit in. And to me, that's the thing that really makes Homing Mine quite great. So yeah, Homing Mine is good. And now Manual Overdrive. Okay, well, simple. You're trash, and you're kind of trash. Let me do Battle Lord and Judgment first. Battle Lord, it should Judgment is simple. It's literally Intimidate for the Skirmisher. Everything I said about Intimidate applies here. Terrible, do nothing. Battle Lord, you use an action to so that on the enemy turn, for every action the enemy takes, you get an action. Problem is, it's a bug ability, similar to Interrupt, which can fuck you over. But also, it's also bug in that at best it will give you 2 action. So you're using 1 action to potentially do 2 things. It's terrible. It's just, you call it like, no, it's terrible. It's like you could still shoot instead with that action and like potentially just return fire if you you have it on your skirmisher. So nah, these are terrible. Just never pick these. And Manual Overdrive, you can it's an ability that you can use an action to reduce the cooldown on every action. And I haven't used it much, but it doesn't have a cooldown, so you can use it to... You could use it twice on one turn, I believe, and reduce every cooldown by 2. You'd think it's good, but usually you have better thing to do with your actions, so there's never any room to effectively use this ability, I feel like, unless you're on a mission with no timer. But then if you're on a mission with no timer, you can just like wait turn. So yeah, this ability I feel like does next to nothing. I don't like it. Now we're to the Templar ability, Ghost, Void Conduit, and Ionic Storm. Ionic Storm kind of reminds me of a stronger capacitor discharge that costs your focus. And you have to get forward with your Templar to do it, so... With 3 focus, the game says it does 12 to 18 damage. I've had cases where that was actually incorrect, like it did less than that. And that's why I can't put this ability in the S tier. If the game, like, tells me it's gonna do, like, a damage range and, like, it's less than that, there's a problem. And the problem is, like, the damage range is actually pretty wild. Like, it's not like a narrow damage range. It's not like when I rapid fire that the damage range is very tight, right? Or when I change shot. No, this like, it's like 12 to 18, like that really makes a difference. The damage is still great, but yeah. The inconsistency there, and like the fact that the game doesn't even... I'm not sure what's up. Like I've seen this thing do like 10 damage when I had like 3 focus, so I'm not sure what's up with that. Because of these 2 things, I'll have it sit in 8. It's still great, but yeah. And Ghost. We'll do Ghost. So you use a dead humanoid to make a copy of yourself. Or to focus, and that copy, well, cannot shoot with the pistol, with the auto pistol, but can run and will retain all of your other Templar's ability, like amplify, invert, and even Bladestorm if you have it. So depending on what your Templar is spec like, it is quite amazing. It increased for a bit the Templar's action economy, so because of that, it is great. My only problem with Ghost and why I can't put it in S tier is it requires some focus setup, because it costs 2 focus to make the Ghost. So like you're making yourself weaker to make a copy of yourself, so... Yeah, I'll put it here. I think that's where you'll go. It's still good, but yeah. The fact that it costs focus is, you better have a channel when you use that to quickly refill. If there's nothing to pick up, yeah, you're gonna be feeling dry a bit, but yeah. The fact that you can basically duplicate yourself is great. Allows for more action economy, so yeah, still good. It's good. Void Conduit is definitely the worst of the 3. It's actually pretty trash. It suffers from a similar problem as Justice in that you can only use it on a humanoid target, and it's a late game ability, so you get when those are not as common. Yeah. And it costs like 2 focus, and like it does like a bit of damage per turn, and that damage actually heals the Templar. Because of that, I'll put you in the C tier, I think, around here. It's really not great. It's not an ability I bother with anymore, but it can have some use. But yeah, I don't like it. Like it's like a worse stasis, which we'll get to when we talk about extensively on the Psy Operative. And that's basically let me just put these. So, well, I guess to close up with the classes, I'll do the tactics now, and then we'll fully do the psyop to close up. Hunter Instinct. Easily the best GTS or tactics. Gives the ranger +1 damage on flank target and +10% crit on your melee strike. Also, by the way, I think I forgot to mention it about Shadow Strike. Neat little thing about Shadow Strike that I forgot. If an enemy doesn't see you, if you're like out of line of sight of an enemy and you slash them with your sword, even if you're not concealed, you get the Shadow Strike bonus. I forgot about it, so there it is. Forgot to mention it. Sorry. Biggest boom. Kind of shit. Well, actually, before I do this one, I want to do cool under pressure because that's definitely the second best. I will put you where? I would say about here. Cool under pressure. Specialist overwatches, they now gain an extra 10 aim. They are now capable of critting when they overwatch, which is actually great because the disruptor rifle, the rifle of the warlock, gives you a 100% chance to crit on a psionic unit. So if you do what I was talking about earlier with Guardian and or just Guardian itself, like on, let's say, a bunch of codexes, you're basically guaranteed to one-tap them, I believe. Or maybe, well, it depends if you have blue screen and breakthroughs, depending on like exactly what you have. But yeah, your chance of critting them are going to be pretty good. So yeah, Cool Under Pressure makes the Overwatch build for these specialists even more reliable. So yeah, it's good. Definitely the two best tactics. Third best, I would say, is Deadshot. Basically, just a flat 10% extra crit for this Sharpshooter when they shoot. It's all right. It's not super sexy, amazing, but I mean, more crit is more crit. Then I would say Mentally Awake for the Templar is decent too. It's a bit weaker, but about here. Basically, you start mission with 1 focus on your Templar instead of 0. Actually, it might be better in Deadshot. Yeah. I mean, it's about the same level. These 3 are definitely the weaker one. Parkour is pretty shit. 5% chance to just get a free free movement when you move. Like, although I would say it probably is more over time going to be more effective than these, so I'll put you in D tier. Yeah. Biggest boom now, okay, because I wanted to place these to know where I put you, because you're definitely worse than Deadshot and Mentally Awake, but you're better in parkour, so I'll put you in C tier. It's really not that great though. About here. Basically now your explosive can crit for a few extra damage. Not that great. Kind of like well, actually, if I put Volatile Mix in D, you should be in D along with it, because you're actually a worse version. Actually, yeah, now that I think about that. Yeah. Infiltration increased the hacking score of the Reaper by like 25, and then towers, they no longer can see you. I find that to be so shit. Like, it's like, who cares? Like, it's so easy to navigate with a Reaper that, like, I'll put you with parkour. It's like, I never, like, I picked that just because I have so much supply, but I would never buy it because I want to buy it. So yeah, I just find that to be so shit. Okay, let's get to the Psy ability. Let's finally talk about them, because I haven't yet. Soulfire, you shoot a projectile that bypass cover, armor, I believe, and that is guaranteed to hit. That's pretty helpful, and it is on a cooldown. So to me, it kind of is like Health Bullet, and that's probably where I'll put you. It is handy to have as an ability. It's not the greatest though. Stasis is OP though. For a single action, you can, for a turn, completely shut it down. So you can completely shut down a Sectopod with one action and still be able to do something after. Already OP, if you ask me. I'll put you here along with Parry and Untouchable. Yeah, being able to shut down like an Andro or Gatekeeper, Sectopod is just stupidly OP. Insanity. I think that's pretty terrible. It does like random like mental effect like panic, or you have a chance to mind control, but it's like unreliable, and you might as well just use domination if that's what you're for. I don't think it's like, it would be basically here if there was like no chance to mind control, because yeah, we'll get to it, but mind control is good. Inspire, much like combat presence, is amazing, although it is not a single action, so I'll put it lower in the tier, but it is amazing. So everything I said about combat presence applies to Inspire. Basically the same ability. Soul Steel and upgrade to Soulfire. Now when you Soulfire, you gain some health back. I mean, your Psyop should not be taking damage. I already think it's a pretty shit upgrade. But I guess you're getting health for doing nothing. Okay, just with Soulfire, fair enough. Stasis Shield, now you can use Stasis to Stasis to on your highlights, which it does fill a similar role as 8 Protocol. So, but then it makes them completely immune, but you gotta make sure they have taken their action, because if you stasis someone that still has direction, you're basically throwing those out of the window. Yeah. I guess because of that, yeah, it has to be an A tier because it's like a superior version of 8 Protocol. I'll put in the lower hand though. Soulless. Now the Psyop has a AoE Horror that makes them and everybody around them immune to any mental status effect. So like mind control, panic, stuff like that. That basically trivializes the Warlock if you bring one against him. Alright, that's good. The problem is the Warlock is really the big one that really mind control people, and against who this is useful, and usually by the time you have this, he's dead, so. But if you happen to have the things aligned, I mean, it works. I'll put that in the. So it does feel a similar purpose as what it's called, Revival Protocol. I'll put you A. It is pretty good. Sustain when you would normally die. You instead, I don't know if it's a chance like Priest or if it's guaranteed. I never had that proc. But instead of dying, you go to 1 HP. Can make the difference between losing someone or not, but I don't think much of sustain. I mean, it's alright, but it's not insane. I'll put you in B tier. Schism. I'll be honest, I don't even exactly recall what it does. It's like, I think now your some of your other ability can... Okay, I actually need a reminder. What does that ability do? I actually have a... Schism. Insanity does now does a small amount of guaranteed damage and apply rupture to the target, making all future attack deal 2 extra damage to it. And well, if you use Schism to buff Insanity, that's kind of shit. But if you can use Schism on, along with Void Rift, so... And I can make Void Rift better. Schism is... if I put Rupture A, you're worse than Rupture, so you have to be B. I would put you along about... I'll just put you at Sustain. It's alright, but it's not crazy. Fortress. You're basically a better blast padding, so you'll go in... I'll put you in C tier. Since you're basically an upgrade to it. Makes you immune to explosion, fire, acid, poison. The fact that you actually take no damage from those things is actually good. And being immune to fire means the Psyop, or I guess the Templar too, they can have it. Allows you to ensure you don't have your ability shut down and unable to use, so yeah. Oh, Fuse, that's terrible. I think that's a D tier ability. Whatever. Fuse, you can detonate enemies grenade whether they're dead or alive. If it's dead enemy, that's basically where they died. If they're alive, it's more useful on a live enemy because it allows you to break their cover potentially, but it's like the damage is so horrible that it's just, yeah, it's terrible. And the final tree, the big Psyop ability, Domination, is absolutely amazing. You're basically, for the remainder of the mission, taking a unit away from the enemy as your own. This is amazing. It basically so for the remainder of the mission, you're increasing your action economy, and the way to look at it is you're also insta-killing a target. So yeah, absolutely clutch. Pretty good. Definitely is what I would probably consider the best ability for the Psyop. Maybe with Stasis and Inspire. These I would say are the top 3. Void Rift. It does a circular AoE that, well, if you have Schism, apply potentially Rupture. It does some good damage. It's like a better capacitor discharge in that regard. I don't think the damage is not insane though, so yeah. I think you go here. It does like something like 7 or 8 damage from what I recall. I could be wrong, but I don't recall the damage to be massively impressive. And no lens. You do a line that actually does more damage. It's like 10 to 15, I think, or 12 to 15. Usually at best you'll be hitting like 2 target. It's an ability that's kind of hard to hit more than 2 though. I mean, 2 damage, 2 target that takes... Is it ass though? Well, the thing with Saturation Fire, it's much more easy to hit multiple target for equivalent damage. And you also can shred. No lance. Like, no lance, if you manage to hit like 3 target, that's where it really gets pretty good. For only 1 or 2, Alright. I don't know, I haven't like used Nolens and been like, oh my god, that's actually this level of like power. Maybe I just haven't used it enough, but also I'll just put you at Void Rift, why not? Hey, actually we've done it. How long has that taken me? I think I started and it was like, so probably about 3 hours. Is there any, before I close up, is there any ability I would like to change position? These I think are perfect where they are. I think here the only one I would potentially drop is Medical Protocol to like A+. You're... and this is fine. Squad sight. The more I think about that, the more I think squad sight should be like A. Because I look at like ability and A and I'm like, wait, squad sight is better than those. Like I'm smoking some, like early on squad sight is not that great, but the more aim you have, the more like presence you can have with your sharpshooter. Like, would I prefer having squad sight over Solus? For sure. Oh yeah, okay, well, seeing a lot of these ability, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, because squad sight is like hard to use early because like aim penalty, but it quickly, once you have the aim, it's like amazing. I'll put you here next to Shadow Strike. Okay, is there an ability here I would like to maybe drop? Yeah, I think like the two I'm really not sure is like the, not sure, but it's like really hard to raid because it's like I guess I'll end up doing the average because yeah, Bladestorm, if like we average like how good it is with and without the stuff I mentioned, it's probably like a B. Dead from above, same thing. Because it's like the Bladestorm and Dead from above, like floor is like probably C if not D tier. If I put Retribution here, that's probably C. But the ceiling is like S easily. So I guess it probably averaged out to like B+. Let's put you guys here. I definitely prefer these two over stupid Banish. It's not cheaty, but I don't know. I feel like Banish is overrated. It's like a really YouTube short clips type of ability, not... It doesn't scream like reliability to me. Aside from that, the rest is good though. I'm not gonna like rearrange them if I feel like, oh, within a tier one is better. I think it's overall fine. Yeah, I like it overall. A pretty good distribution of ability. There's maybe stuff I could change, but I've been going on for long enough and I'm kind of getting hungry. That was a fun tier list to make. If I am wrong, please let me know. I'll probably put this on YouTube, so if this happens to go on YouTube, yeah, and you happen to watch this, make sure to let me know how terrible of a job I did here, although you'd be incorrect because no, but I think it's pretty good. There's maybe a few ability I might have been too rough or whatever, but if this list is really wrong and like in the future I'm like, yeah, this list is terrible, I'd be willing to update it, but I think it's pretty good. I feel like if there's a list that I should update at one point, is the enemy within tier list. I've seen it not too long ago and I was like, oh boy, some of these placements are a bit whack. Actually, let me I just noticed something. Okay, I don't care. The Solus putting Solus above Bladestorm and Dead from above. When you consider the ceiling of these two, fuck no. I just thought about that. I'll put you whatever. You can just go here with your friend. There we go. Yeah, And also it looks better without the single ability on its little row. Okay, I think now I'm satisfied with this. I'm not gonna rate these two. I don't really consider these ability. But yeah. I think I will call it here. I think that will be the final change. Yeah, I think this is good.